And we're going to begin with the CA agenda. Commissioner Russell, you wanted CA3 to have been deferred to the afternoon. Do you still want it deferred? Or?
Sorry, that one is ready to go according to the administration and attorney's office.
Okay, so with the exception of CA6 that had been deferred at the request of Commissioner King, is there a motion for the rest of the CA agenda?
Mr. Chair.
Moved by Commissioner Reyes.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Russell. Mr. City Attorney.
Yes, CA3, the one that the Commissioner Russell was talking about, does have an amendment. There is a fourth right-of-way deed that will be included. So we will be amending it to add the additional deed.
Okay. Anything else you need to do with it?
No, sir.
Okay. So with that amendment, accepted by the maker and seconder of the motion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. It's passed unanimously by those here. PH1, I don't believe there are any deferments in the PH agendas. Well, you had asked Commissioner PH6 for the afternoon.
We are ready for that one as well.
Okay, is there a motion?
Yes, so moved.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Reyes, second by Commissioner Russell.
Chair,
Yes.
my apologies. PH3 involves appointing an elected official to a particular committee, and so a name is going.
That's right. Let me take PH3 out. Thank you for pointing that out. Let's vote on the rest of it. Mine is PH3. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It passes unanimously. So we have PH3 that we've taken out. Can we defer PH3 for the next meeting?
I defer to the administration, but I do not believe there are any issues with the deferral of PH3.
Okay, well, is there a motion to defer? Motion to defer, moved by Commissioner Reyes, second by Commissioner King. We're deferring PH3. Yeah. Oh, yes, an elected position that I thought you might want to, appointed position by us, that I thought you might want to look at. So, well, in that case, then the motion would be made by Commissioner Reyes to appoint Commissioner King and second by Commissioner Russell. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It passed unanimously.
As amended?
As amended. Now, we approved all the PHs now, correct? Absolutely. Okay. So we are now going into the RE agenda. And we have RE9 that's been deferred. Let me see if there's anything else in the REs that's been deferred. Not that I see. So on the rest of the RE agenda, is there a motion?
And Chair, just for the record, RE6 and RE7 passed earlier today.
Yeah, those were done earlier today, correct?
Yes, sir.
Those were a street code designation. So there's a motion by.
Chair,
So moved.
Yes.
I have some questions about RE3.
Okay, so let's pull out RE3 out. There's a motion by Commissioner Russell on the rest of the RE agenda, minus the two we did before in RE3 that's been taken out for now. Second by Commissioner Reyes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'm going to leave RE3 until the end, if it's okay. We have.
Actually, I'm okay with RE3.
Okay, so.
I'll move
Commissioner
RE3
King
then.
makes a motion for RE3.
Yes, please.
Commissioner Russell seconds it. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Just I'd like the management to bring back the final ordinance January 27th, if possible.
Okay.
So RE3 is with regard to the wage of the trolley drivers. Can you bring it back? Whatever action needs to be taken, second meeting in January?
Sure.
Thank you.
Well, okay. All right. So, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It passed unanimously. So we're done with the totality of the RE agenda. Second reading ordinance, if you could read the second reading ordinance for SR1, SR2, and SR3, Mr. City Attorney?
Yes, sir. SR1 is an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending Chapter 22.5, Article 4 of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended, titled Green Initiatives, Water Conservation, to update the City of Miami's Water Conservation Ordinance to conform with the revised South Florida Water Management District's mandatory year-round landscape irrigation conservation measures, thereby updating definitions, providing for water shortage emergencies and year-round water conservation, providing for variances, and providing for enforcement and penalties, containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date. SR2 is an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending Chapter 20 of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended, titled Flood Damage Prevention, to update the language to match the current requirements of federal, state, Florida, and Miami-Dade County laws, containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date. SR3 is an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending Chapter 54, Article 2, Section 54-56 of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended, titled Streets and Sidewalks, Construction, Excavation, and Repair and Construction, Reconstruction, or Repair of Street Improvements required when adjacent property is approved by construction of $100,000 or more in value or exceeding 1,000 square feet in floor area restriction, to credit certain right-of-way improvements, containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
It's a motion to move all three of them by Commissioner Reyes,
Second.
second by Commissioner Russell. All in, yes.
I'd like to co-sponsor SR1.
Commissioner King is co-sponsoring FR1 separately from the SR ones.
No, the SR.
Yeah,
no,
or SR1.
SR1.
Okay, she'd like to co-sponsor SR1. Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's passed on second reading, all three unanimously. On first reading ordinances, you have FR1, FR2, and FR3. What is the will of the commission? Do you want
I'll
to
move it.
wait to have a full board here or not?
Yeah, probably. We'll wait for Commissioner Diaz-Portillo.
Go ahead.
I heard that FR1 and FR2 could be deferred. That's what.
The administration wanted to defer them? No. Do you want to defer them, Commissioner Russell?
No, and I believe we need the exception amendment
You don't need the exception amendment.
from a timeliness perspective.
No, you don't need the exception amendment. You see, the pilot program was the full year, full 2 years. And this project, this program was interrupted by COVID. You see, 2 or 3 months. In 2 months or 3 months from now, we are not going, we are already, you don't need to have an exception. What I don't want to start, you see, is that every time that we have a pilot program, then we start, let's have an exception. But in this case, you don't need it, and ask the city attorney, because this program was not in effect that 2 years. Time-wise, it wasn't. It wasn't because it was interrupted by COVID. You see, about 3 months.
My understanding is even factoring in the COVID interruption, we've hit the limit. And so we would need to extend. I agree with you, we don't want to extend pilot programs in perpetuity, but in cases where we do hope or intend to get to a permanent version, that we extend so it's as seamless as possible, if the will of the body is here.
If let me propose this. If we don't have because from what I know, the RFP is being analyzed and they are picking the companies. If at that time, you see, it's going to be extended for the time that was closed for COVID, which is 3 months, okay? If by January, February, and March, they haven't decided, then we extend it. Then we talk about extending it. But I don't want to start, every time that we have a pilot program and we have this, it's not danger whatsoever just to use the time that the program was it was not it was not running. You see, use that time as an extension.
Well, can we leave this for the last items, if we can?
Okay.
I think we're almost done with the morning agenda.
What I would like, Mr. Chair, is to sort of defer FR1 and take up FR2 later on whenever you decide it's an appropriate time to take it up. The carve-out, I want to talk about the carve-out. I want to vote on that.
And what you
The carve-out, which is FR2, the carve-out.
Oh, okay. The
Carve-out.
FR2.
Okay.
But defer FR1 for now.
Okay,
We can bring that up on the 13th.
all right, is there a motion for FR1?
so moved.
There's a motion by
So
Diaz
moved.
Portillo.
Okay.
Second by Commissioner Reyes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, FR1 is deferred till the first meeting in January?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is what I thought I'd heard. FR3, amend Code Chapter 55, undivided land. Is this a controversial item in any way, or?
No, not for me.
I have a friendly amendment.
Yes.
Can we add that the program would sunset after 1 year to avoid unintended consequences? I don't know what else I'm supposed to say, Todd. Do you want me to just lean in right here like that? They can't hear me. You gotta get a mic that comes over here.
Yeah.
Can't lean.
You're right.
So I believe,
Todd.
Commissioner, you need an extension.
Give her the handheld mic. That's what
That's it.
The future chairwoman
For
leads.
sure, it's gonna be comedy for me. I have a wonderful sense of humor, you guys.
God
So
bless you.
if the body is okay with that, I'd like to add that friendly amendment that it sunsets
So moved.
after 1 year
So
to
moved.
avoid unintended
So moved.
consequences.
Second.
Let's move second. All in favor signify.
Chair, it's a first reading ordinance. We need to read the
That's
title.
right. Yeah, he
FR3.
needs to, correct. If you could incorporate that into thank you, the first reading ordinance
yes, sir.
on FR3.
FR3 is an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending Chapter 55 of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended, titled Subdivision Regulations, by amending Section 55-10, titled Building Permits, Issuance, Restrictions, Exceptions, to include an exception to allow a permit to be issued for undivided land in certain circumstances containing a summary clause, providing for an effective date. It will include the amendment proposed by Commissioner King. I believe the sponsor, Commissioner Reyes, also had a proposed amendment to limit it to unplatted parcels of 10 contiguous acres or more in size.
That's right.
So assuming that amendment is also accepted by the body, then it will incorporate both those amendments.
Okay.
And is there, okay, any further questions on this? If not,
I have one,
yes.
Mr. Chair. Can you read the last part again, slower?
The proposed amendment?
Yes, the last part of the proposed amendment.
The proposed amendment by Commissioner Reyes, I believe, is to clarify that this language shall only apply to unplatted parcels of 10 contiguous acres or more in size.
And what's the reason for that, Commissioner Reyes?
Well, the only places that it could happen, it is on land that is, those parcels of land that they are large parts of land, and they want to build, let's say, for example, a basketball court or whatever, you see, that they don't have to go into a plan, okay? And if that happens, well, if they're going to do anything else, or they have smaller plot, but they should go through the process. That's all. Okay?
Okay.
All right?
Any further questions or concerns? Okay, hearing none, with the amendments included, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's passed unanimously. We have FR2 that we're going to carry, and then in the D1 discussion items, the only one that we have that hasn't been deferred or withdrawn is DI3, redistricting.
Madam Chair, let me first recap where we are. Last meeting, there was a consensus on the following. One, achieve substantial equality as opposed to mathematical equality, maintain the core of existing districts wherever feasible, look at voter cohesion, and preserve traditional neighborhoods and communities of interest together also when feasible. There's other criteria that has not been discussed. I assume that you want to include contiguity. You don't want districts broken up by another district. So that's a factor to consider and for you to direct me to enforce. There's the issue of compactness. Compactness, quite frankly, in this plan would be extremely difficult to achieve. And then there's also another traditional redistricting criteria, which is the use of man-made or natural boundaries. Now, in terms of timing, I think it was Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla that inquired, if we go past March, what are the consequences? I had the opportunity to have a discussion with the supervisor of elections. If the plan is approved by March, then they could do the re-precincting together with the county at no cost to the city. If the re-precincting occurs, if the plan is not ready in time and the re-precincting has to occur after they have re-precincted the entire county, the approximate cost in staff time, and she said that's very ballpark, could be more or less, is $20,000, and the approximate cost of production of new voter cards, mailing costs, et cetera, would be approximately $115,000 for a total of $135,000. That's basically, the information that I have now. The purpose of this meeting, as I understand it, was for you all to consider additional criteria and direct me accordingly, so I'm at your disposal.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
what's the total cost?
135.
135.
135.
If I may, Commissioners, while the cost is real money, it's at the same time not something that is going to break the
the
city
bank.
if we need to go over. However, I want to be very clear. I would like to see if we could do and make every effort to finalize this by March. And the reason is that I think it's important that in districts that are going to gain additional areas, that you get to know those areas better, that commissioners can work with the new areas more. For instance, in your case, Commissioner Diaz de Portilla, you need to acquire, 7,000, 8,000 more people. The only logical way that you get more is by going towards Wynwood, I believe. And that's mainly a Hispanic area. That's because if you go some of the other ways, you start getting districts that get broken up. You got some other areas along the river, on the other side, on your side of the river,
Right.
across from mine, that I think are also areas that you could go and are attractive. And those are non-African American areas, mainly Hispanic or Anglos, basically, that are in District 5. District 5 is going to have to acquire some additional areas also. So what I suggest strongly is that you meet with Mr. DeGrande so you could go over with him, what are some of your preference. Commissioner King also, even though she got newly elected, she will be running again, I am sure, in the future in re-election. She's going to do a good job. So he could come back to us hopefully in January sometime, and we could look at a plan that most of us have given serious input, and then we could finesse whatever else we have to then, and then have one major public hearing on it.
Right.
But, it's just 20% up here giving an opinion. That's all that it is.
Mr. DeGrande, well, I happen to be in a place that I happen to be in the middle, right? I'm in the middle. of the city, right? So I'm in the middle.
Kind of, yes.
And the, right? So there's an artificial boundary, which is I-95, right? And you would count I-95, or US 1 for that matter, as artificial boundaries, right?
Well, those are
Man-made
man-made.
Man-made,
Yeah,
artificial-
man-made and
They're
natural.
natural boundaries, they're artificial boundaries, right?
That
Man-made.
includes highways, section line
Highways, right, so
roads,
I-95 and then US 1.
the river.
River, that's natural. Artificial would be I-95, US 1, right?
US 1,
836.
section line roads,
Right.
major roads, as
Roadways,
opposed to
right.
a street,
Right.
you know, in a neighborhood.
So because I happen to be in the middle, talking now about District 1, but my district happens to be in the middle, I really can't go north, right? Because the northern district it's a protected category, right? It's an African-American area,
Yes.
right?
I'd have to look at what the numbers are in terms of racial composition in the boundary, but generally, yes, you're correct.
Right.
The only area.
Let me finish.
If I could just say this, so you
Yeah.
keep it in mind, the only area that I don't know if it's mainly Hispanic or if it's more African-American, that you possibly might go up, and that's just gonna be like a hair. It's up towards that part of 36.
Correct.
36th Street.
Or
Yeah.
maybe up to 40th Street,
Yeah.
40th, or something
Yep,
like that.
Yeah, so that you could even your district out, but that's minute,
Right,
and that's the only area north that maybe you could go up,
right.
maybe
and-
not.
Right, in some parts of the district, I go up to 38th, 112, right? So in some parts, I only go up to 36, maybe I go up to 38th. I get into the minutia and the details,
Yeah.
but in essence, if we go beyond 112, north of 112, we're entering into African-American neighborhoods.
Yes.
And we can't touch that
Well,
area.
you can, because then you're gonna be taken away.
Right.
From the purpose of why we did the districts to begin with.
Correct.
We cannot dilute the voting
And dilute the
strength
voting
of that
strength.
community.
So the logical thing, and then follow me and tell me if I'm wrong, is that I will go south, right? Because I can't go west because Miami ends where I end, right? So I would have to go south. I being District 1, not me, it could be anybody else, but District 1 would have to go somewhat south,
Possible, yes.
right? And then that means District 4 and 3 would have to kind of figure it out between 3 and 4, how they split that up, but they still have to need to add people. But then you have places like Douglas Park, 577, those precincts that will be added, right? To kind of make, I don't know if it's enough people to make it up. But to maintain the integrity of each district, we sort of could figure out how these 3 districts, right? 1, 3, and 4 could be kept whole, for lack of a better term, without going into District 2 and other areas like that. We're gonna have to go into District 2, but we really wanna go peripheral, a little bit into District 2, take away the 28,000 plus that he has, that he's over-representing, right?
District 2 is gonna
one
change
of the- losing the
considerably,
most.
any way you wanna look at it.
You gotta take this,
It's
because it
gonna
goes
be
around.
totally different.
Right. So to avoid any of the petty fights about which avenue and which street at the end of the day, in the District 1 case, we're kind of in the middle. We have to protect District 5. In the 3 and 4, we have to make sure that we keep the structural integrity and the ethnic integrity, for lack of a better term again, in those 2 districts. But we can add people from District 2 to kind of get there. Is there a problem with splitting Coconut Grove up? No.
Let me get the
No,
microphone. Yes.
Well, maybe to you, but you're 20%, like Commissioner Caro is 20%.
And I'm
Like
20
I am.
I'm 20%.
We're all 20%.
We're 20 percenters.
We're all 20%. We're the 20%ers here, right?
In this one, it's not 50 plus 1, it's 60.
Yeah. So
You have to get
we're all 20%ers. The legal question to you, is there a problem with, because Coconut Grove is also, like Coral Gables is, a different city, but there's an ethnic diversity in Coconut Grove too. Is there a problem with splitting Coconut Grove as an entity based on where the Hispanic voters live, let's say Bay Heights, areas like that, versus other areas? Is there an issue with that?
Let me rephrase your question. Instead of problem, if the question is
Legal
there a
problem.
legal impediment? There
That's
is
what I
no
meant.
there's
say
no
problem.
legal impediment to breaking up any community of interest. It's up to you to
Right, the
provide that
communities of
policy
interest are
direction.
something that no longer applies, right? So there's no problem that we decide, if this commission has a body, let's say 3 of the 20%ers get to 60%, and they're able to decide that, hey, it's okay to take some of those precincts and move into some other districts and take away take away some of the 28K plus that you have in additional voters, residents that you shouldn't have. Is that okay? And then is that okay to also split up other communities to the east of all these districts? Because remember, Commissioner Russell, District 2, circles all these, right? Kind of goes like this?
Yeah.
Is it okay to go?
Yeah, there is no legal impediment to
Right.
breaking up any community of interest.
Okay.
I could break up Little Havana if you direct me to, not that you will.
But Little Havana's,
But there is no legal
But
impediment.
the problem that we have, that's really my question, it's really legal impediments. The problem that we have is that there's no reason to do that because we're all kind of in the middle, right? I'm here, or District 1 is here, District 4 is here, District 3 is here, and District 5 is here, and then District 2 runs all the way around. So the only one has an abundance of citizens, of voting age population, is this one. Actually, it's not you, this one, but District 2. So what happens is that you have to take away from him no matter what.
Yep.
No matter what.
Yeah.
And we're kind of in the middle, so our debate could be about whether it's 3rd Street or 2nd Street or 4th Street or 1st Street, who cares, right? Those are all common communities.
Yeah, functionally, Commissioner, I have a wall between District 5 and District 2. Now, I can play around the edges there.
The edge.
Without diluting that minority community, but I can't get 28,000. So functionally, I have to get a big chunk of the overpopulation in District 2 from the southern part of that district.
Right, that's my question.
Right.
But I'm almost
Not
done.
necessarily true.
But, well, let me finish and then, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Sure.
So in essence, you're gonna get as much as you can from the east, right? Functionally, that wall, you're gonna move it as far east as you can
Yes,
without impacting the minority district, District 5.
correct.
The African-American district, right? You're gonna
Without
get as
diluting
much
it.
as you can get without impacting without diluting District 5. And then when you say you get 8,000, 10,000, 12,000 people, whatever you get out of that, if you can get that much, I don't know.
I doubt it.
I doubt it too, but it says 7,000, 5,000, whatever. And then you gotta go to the south, right? So you gotta go across US 1, going south.
Yes.
How do you not dilute then District 3 and District 4? Can you survive? Can you keep again, I'll call it the ethnic integrity. Let's call it that, for lack of a better legal term. I'm not talking legalities, because you're the lawyer. That's why you do what you do. The ethnic integrity of District 3 and 4, how far south can you go, and are there enough precincts around or contiguous to District 3 and 4 that allows you to add to them, because they don't need that many people, add to them without compromising the ethnic integrity of those districts,
District
3 and 4.
District 3, Commissioner, is approximately 88% Hispanic, and District 4 is approximately 90% Hispanic. And so taking population that may not be that high percentage of Hispanic, that may be on the other side of US 1, would not compromise the integrity of those districts at the numbers that I have to make. Now, if I had to put, all 28,000 into one district, that may create an issue. I don't think with these high numbers it would, but I don't think that District 3 or District 4 will be compromised in terms of that minority community's ability to elect candidates
Mr. Chair,
of choice.
am I may?
You have the floor.
In terms of voting age population, how about what we discussed in the last commission meeting, in terms of electoral performance? Have you looked at that?
That is what we look at as we're crafting a plan. I mean, right now, let me take a step back. Right now, we haven't crafted any plan because we don't have your direction. If you give me all my marching orders today, that's when I start drafting the plan.
But we asked you for you to get data, electoral data, you were gonna buy something, you said it was gonna be expensive, we're not gonna
Yeah.
pay that much, we're gonna figure that out. Well, that's a different conversation.
If I understand what you all wanted, there's two things. If you're going to load all this data into a plan, it is time intensive and costly. If you're going to do the analysis as you're crafting a district, you don't need to load the data.
Correct.
Because you could look at what you were talking about, of
Election
saying,
results.
hey, I could get election information by precinct very cheaply. Of course you can. And we could look at that and say, okay, here's how we would be drawing the district. Now let's look at the precincts in there, how they performed in terms of voter cohesion, in terms of turnout, et cetera. We will not need to load that data.
Okay, in simple terms then, Mr. Chair.
You have the floor. When you're done, you let me know. We'll go to Commissioner Russell,
Thank you, sir.
and then we could go on to each other member of the commission.
Thank you. In simple terms, if we identify 3 precincts and we look at how many people voted, that's electoral performance in the last 3 elections, whether municipal or county elections. We know how many people vote, and then we also know how many people are registered, right? But we also know how many 18-plus voting age population people we have, right?
Correct.
So we could do all that, and let's say Commissioner Reyes or Commissioner Carollo or District 3, let's not use names, District 3 or District 4 needs 7,800 or 9,500. We know that we can add that immediately, right? That's not that difficult to get to, right?
Right.
So if we can do it that way, we have a better idea of how much of Coconut Grove we need to go into. By the way, Commissioner Russell, I don't know about the rest of my colleagues, but I have no interest in representing Coconut Grove, to be honest with you. But I'm not sure if you guys do either.
I don't think you'll be able to make it from your district all the way down.
Yeah, exactly. So I know I'm never gonna get there, but I know
You will not.
there's a potential for 2 of them together, and I'm not sure that they really,
Unless you
are
wanna
really
give-
hot about doing that anyway, right?
Unless you want to give up Bolo Flagami, and I don't think you're going to do
Well,
it.
that's not gonna happen either, right? So, that's not gonna happen, so we know that.
You're gonna give up, he's part of Flagami. On my part of Flagami, so, because then I will have to move.
So
There is,
eventually-
Commissioner, one way you can get to the Grove is if you vote not to have contiguity. If you vote not to have contiguity, I could give you a piece of the Grove. I wouldn't recommend it, but you could do it.
I have no interest, to be honest with you. I love the Grove, great restaurants, but I have no interest in getting any part of the Grove, to be honest with you. But they have good restaurants.
But
They
did
have great
you-
pizza place there too,
Did
by the
you
way.
change your interest that we heard from the last meeting
That's
on
okay.
Wynwood?
Commissioner, Mr. Chairman, I'm only looking for out for your interest. You don't have another reelection. So in essence, look, the reality here is that we're not really doing anything to benefit any particular one of us. It's kind of how the elected officials here represent, how we have categorical representation, how we have people that represent the people that are like them and think like them, right? And that's important. I think that's important. So that's what we have a representative form of government, and we have to have people that think like us, and we represent those people. So if we go into the Grove, what's wrong with just getting a little bit of that to make sure that we don't jeopardize the ethnic integrity of our districts, of these districts in particular, these 2 of the southern districts, and of course, without touching the racial integrity of the District 5. And the only place to go to is District 2, no matter where we go, whether we go east or whether we go south. So that's kind of what my thinking, and I'll leave it at this. My thinking is you sort of work with that way of thinking of how we're going to get there. We have to take away from District 2, no matter what, figure out a way to just give everybody a little bit if we can, because you're not a protected category, by the way. District 2 is not white, Anglos are not protected. So if the district happens to go Hispanic, it goes Hispanic,
Well,
right?
let me say this.
And that's it. So that's kind of my thinking, and I'll leave it at that.
The purest of the Hispanic districts is District 4. Much more than yours or mine. And I say that because while we have to go by law in making districts based on how many people live in them, once we break down on how many of those people are voters, that makes a big difference. A tremendous difference. So they're not then as pure in the percentage of Hispanics that vote in these 3 districts, particularly in my district, and then secondary in Commissioner Diaz-Libertia's district. And, you know, we have to also look at that, because otherwise, the concept that I championed and that I brought up for the change of districts so that we could keep a balance and harmony in the city is going to be changed. And where the biggest danger lies in it being changed, and it's not in keeping an Anglo seat or a black seat, will be in changing 1 or 2 of the Hispanic seats. And look, what you stated, that we have to go into District 2, that's a given. I don't see how we're not going to have to be able to go into the Grove, and that the Grove is going to have to be split in either 2 or 3 parts. And if you really think about it, the Grove, it's got different points of views, if I want to call it that. The southern part is very different from the center Grove to the north part of Coconut Grove. And I'm not even including the Bahamian Grove.
Right.
So that's really a 4th area if we go into it. So the Grove, I have to look at it that it will be broken up into at least 2 areas. It could be in 3, depending how the numbers that you have break down. And then you're going to have to go somewhere east also, instead of west.
I can't go west.
Well,
Annexation.
not unless the county gives us somewhere Atlanta. They should have.
Blue Lagoon, Brownsville.
We would have to annex, for me to go west, we would have to annex the Pink Pussycat, and we're not gonna annex the Pink Pussycat, so we're good to go.
Mr. Chair,
That's a reality.
Mr. Chair, I think that,
I don't think there's population there, Commissioner.
Well, I've never been there, so I don't know.
you know, listening to everything that you have said, you see, all of this is kind of speculating, you know, we are done. But unless you sit down and start
That's really
moving lines and then bringing those suggestions to us, I don't think that we are going anywhere here, you see. You know very well that we want to maintain as much as possible the integrity of the districts.
Correct.
And also, Commissioner Carollo and Commissioner Diaz-Portilla, they have a good point on it, because the amount of voters that they have now, they are not necessarily representative of the population they have, because they are those 2 districts are the 2 districts that I could bet that they have the least amount of, the biggest amount of non-voters, residents, because they are not American citizens. You see, I don't know if you agree with me, Commissioner Carollo and Diaz-Portilla, and that is another thing. When you are adding to those districts, you see, you might be adding a voting block that could dwarf the population and the voting capability of the existing population. And that is something that I don't envy your job. I don't want it, because anyways you do it, you're going to get the wrath of all of us. You see?
That's true.
Because every one of us, you see, we want to protect our district, you see. But unless you bring something, my dear colleagues, I mean, we don't know what's going on. And I'm Commissioner Russell. You see, you are the one that's going to lose the most voters of the most people simply because you are overpopulated. And that overpopulation have to be distributed in order to have some sort of equity in the numbers and that's it. Where they're gonna come from, I don't know. It is logical, because if you wanna add to my district, I cannot go. Talking the same way that we were talking north, south, and east, I won't be able to go north, because I will be taken from Diaz de la Portilla, that needs more voters. I cannot go west, because I'm gonna be hitting on Carollo, and the only way that I can go is south. See? I mean, and this guy has to become a magician. And at least, I think that we should allow him the opportunity to come and try to draw the lines based on what you have heard here, and come to every single one of our offices and say, and like you did a few days back, that you went by my office, you went by every single commissioner office. This is a way that it could be, but you were just, you were showing us as probability. This is probable. This is what we're going to do. Then now we want to be more specific. I would want to be more specific and say your district might look like this if we do it like, and then I will give you my opinion. Commissioner Carollo will give you an opinion. And Commissioner King, and so on. And Commissioner de la Portilla. Then we will have our objections or our approvals, and then you will have to redraw.
That's correct. In terms of process, again, today, I'd like to leave with finalizing what your criteria is. There's still 2 or 3 things that we need to talk about. Once I have that, I could proceed to start looking at lines, looking at, voter turnout, looking at all those issues,
Mr. Chair.
and crafting a draft plan. When I do that, I present the plan to you, and it's presented in a public hearing. You all can tell me, I don't like this, move this line, move that line, wherever there's 3 votes, that's what I do. And then I come back in a subsequent public hearing and present to you a final plan. But right now, what I need most is to finalize what are my marching orders, what's my criteria, and then we'll go from there.
You have it.
Well,
You
we
heard
still
it.
have
No,
3 things left. One, I assume you do want contiguity,
Yes.
and if that,
Yes.
I see a consensus there.
As much as we can.
Compactness, again, I don't think compactness is a feasible alternative in light of you're wanting to maintain the core of existing districts, et cetera. So is there a consensus on that one way or another?
I wouldn't have any problems taking it out, because it's going to have to be
Compactness
some
is not
minor
crucial.
changes.
No. I have 2 no's on compactness.
I mean, look at my district. It's the least compact as a district could be.
That's 40%. So, compactness, the problem is that, well, Mr. Chair,
For compactness, I have to draw a new plan. I mean, look at the districts the
There's
way
no
they're drawn.
compact.
They're not compact.
well,
Only yours is the only
Yeah.
one that's compact.
no, not really. So is yours, and so is Commissioner.
Oh, because I go like this.
Yeah. The question, but the one that's least compact is Commissioner Russell's district,
right.
District 2, right? It's the one that goes all the way like that, right?
Right.
So I have no problem with getting rid of compactness at the end of the day. You said 2 or 3 things that you have to have direction on. What are
Right.
those 2 or 3 things?
Contiguity, compactness, I see 3 votes. And then the last one is use of man-made or natural boundaries, yea or nay.
Yeah,
As much as possible, yes.
well,
Well, no, let me tell you why.
you
You
can't
have to cross US 1.
Yeah, you have to.
That's a man-made
That's right.
issue, right? So you have to cross US 1.
Mr.
Unless,
Chair.
the real question, hold on, Mr. Chair, if I may. The real question is, we haven't done the math yet on whether we can get it on the east side or enough on the south side without crossing US 1 or without crossing 95 in certain parts. Can we get there? And without impacting District 5.
I don't think,
Do we have to cross US 1? Let me ask you, let me,
I think that's very probable.
You absolutely must.
okay.
For
I think that's
instance,
very probable.
let me give you one simple one. District 2 has a big chunk with a very large park, Douglas, that's across US 1, very Hispanic area,
Right.
that should have always been part of District 4, but it wasn't.
On the north side of US 1.
Yeah, on the north side.
Right. I'm saying, do you have to cross US 1?
Yeah, but you're gonna cross it both ways, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, you're crossing, coming from south to north, but my question is, with that part in District 4 that we're talking about, which is Douglas Park and all that area, are there how many votes is it in District 4 that he's short?
Let me see.
If you take his district, if you take District 4 all the way without crossing US 1 going south,
70-some thousand.
can you
Yeah,
get
70-some thousand.
7,500?
Well, but you can't go
How
by
many-
the votes. You gotta go by
Approximately
population.
Approximately
That's why I'm
78,000.
asking, that's why I'm asking. You have to go, it's voting age population, right? It's VAP, right?
No, you do the plan based on total population.
On the whole population, not voting age population.
No.
Correct.
Total
Okay, that's even
population.
better. So is it possible for District 4, hypothetically, without crossing US 1 going south, to make up whatever he needs, whatever District 4 needs, with just those precincts without crossing that artificial boundary, US 1?
Yeah, it may be possible, and again.
Well, those are the numbers that we need.
Based
Those are
on
the
the
numbers that we need.
criteria, for example, you've already told me substantial equality is okay. And so I can start looking at, okay, do I maybe underpopulate all 4 districts by 5% and overpopulate District 2 by 5%?
Right.
That means I have to move less than 28,000
So
people.
how many? So you're talking about 24, 25,
It depends.
right?
It depends on ultimately what your criteria is and then how I can
So
maneuver that.
So what I would like is to know what those numbers are before any public hearing, right, by our January.
I'll meet with you.
No, I don't mean I mean the commission. I want
Okay.
you to tell all of us, not me personally, all of us, how you can get there with the numbers. If it's all population, how can we keep the structural integrity of these districts without crossing US 1? And we have to cross, if you're sure that we have to cross US 1, how far south do we go when we cross?
I think the best way is to actually draft a plan and show it to you.
Yes.
But weren't you gonna do that?
Yes.
Didn't we talk about that? That you were gonna give us a
draft
3
plan.
three maps, and we talked about all that last commission meeting?
Well, it depends on how many maps you want.
Well, I think Commissioner Carollo talked about 2 or 3 maps.
No, at that meeting, I mentioned 2 maps.
Right.
From what I'm seeing is that we're gonna be untargeted and less complicated. I think we need to establish a process to go forward, how quickly he can meet with every one of us.
Okay.
And then he's gonna have to come back and meet with us so that he could be ready in January to publicly present a plan. That obviously, that's the plan that we could then, give him our input until 3 of us come to a conclusion how we want it. There's 2 of us here that are not affected anymore, that can run again. That's Commissioner Russell and myself. We're term limited out. He's got 2 more years unless he resigns to run. I got 4, but we both have an interest in our districts. I think his is similar in some ways to mine, but different in other ways. My main interest in my district, in your district, Commissioner Diaz-Portilla, in Mr. Reyes' district, is that I'm sure that we're going to keep the balance of the Hispanic population, where we're going to be getting Hispanics elected there.
Of course.
In my district, for instance, in secondary is yours, and a little bit in Little Haiti in Commissioner King's. We have tremendous undercounts in population. Why? Because it's a working class neighborhood. They're hard to count because they're constantly moving. 2, you have a certain percentage of the population that it's not here legally. So, they don't want to be counted by the census no matter what. So we have a tremendous, and I have the most undercounted district of them all. Commissioner Diaz-Ortiz is second. By a lot more than the others. And that's where we also get hurt, because then we're having to go into other areas because we're not counting the real population of the district. And then on top of that, we have the handicap that population, voting-wise, is smaller than other areas you might go into, where if you go too much one way or another, it could affect substantially a district in R3. In Commissioner Russell's district, no matter how you cut it, you're going to have an Anglo elected to that district. I mean,
Or even a Japanese American.
well, look, even a Japanese Anglo-American. You might not get another one that could do the yo-yo so good, but
Never.
I agree with that. In Commissioner King's district, there's no way that I could see that anytime soon you're not going to have an African American elected there. The problem lies in the others. In my district in particular, with all the new buildings that I see that are going up, the demographics are going to change tremendously. Where are those people going to come from? Tremendous amount from other parts of the county, South Florida, the state, a lot from up north, New York, Chicago, out west. So it's changing the demographics tremendously. And this is what I feel that I have an obligation to protect. Not just this district, District 4, and District 1. The other districts, like I said, no matter how we carve them, they're going to have the representation that we intended those districts to have for some time to come.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm going to make a suggestion. I'm going to ask Mr. DeGrande.
Yes, sir.
I heard you say that you can increase by 5% each district's population and by 2%, or decrease by 2% District 2.
I could potentially find a way to underpopulate the 4 districts by roughly 4 to 5%, keep District 2 overpopulated by 4 to 5%. As long as I don't have an overall more than 10, I'm in pretty much a safe harbor.
That's it, that you don't have to equalize all of them.
No, based on the criteria you passed,
no.
you asked for substantial equality.
Yeah, that could be some difference, a variation of 3 or 4% within each district.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I would like, out of curiosity, if when you're going to bring us your proposal for how the lines are going to be drawn, take that into consideration and see how it looks.
Okay.
Because if that is legal, that could be also an option that we can, and we can also try to
That would create
research.
That would create less disruption.
Yes.
Because what I'm hearing from you is when you talk about maintaining the integrity of districts, the core of districts is minimize disruption.
That's right.
I'm still going to have to ripple up.
Yes. I know.
Because I have to get to Commissioner Diaz-Portilla's district as I ripple up. So there will be changes in every district. But what I'm hearing is minimize disruption as much as you can.
Yes.
And I'll try to do that.
I would like to see that proposal. If included in any other proposal that you're going to do, that just changing, trying to equalize, but a proposal in which you are not totally equalizing. There is difference between the districts, a population within the districts. That difference is within the law. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. DeGrandi, I think you and I probably need to have the longest meeting, because if it's District 2 that's getting broken up the most, I've walked every corner of this district twice now, well, more than twice, but 2 elections, and so I know the demographic breakup of my district. I know their interests, I know the geographic breakup as well, and what would be cohesive and what would be disruptive. Breaking up the Grove would be very disruptive in any sense. Even West Coconut Grove is a part of the Grove. And there's enough of a stark contrast when you hit McDonald right now that we're not trying to add to that. So we're trying to bring inclusion there, not exclusion. US 1 is a pretty hard boundary, especially in Bay Heights. You've got a large concrete wall even. But there's plenty of opportunity in District 2 to equalize the districts without crossing US 1 into Coconut Grove. The biggest population boom is downtown, not Coconut Grove. So between downtown and Brickell, Brickell's already broken up, what you'd call West Brickell, as it veers into District 3, and downtown, even Midtown. Midtown is a very clean barrier. You already got Biscayne Boulevard north of Midtown as the barrier, and then it breaks west there. Coconut Grove ends with US 1. North of there, the Douglas Road area, even the industrial area in between Bird Road and US 1, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Right next to Coral Gables, is now becoming highly populated. It's got more and more residential towers and more to come. The industrial's shifting. But that's not part of Coconut Grove, and it is north of US 1. So there are plenty of places where District 2 can equalize without breaking up Coconut Grove. And Coconut Grove also has its own elected body, being the Coconut Grove Village Council, which is the only neighborhood in the city that has that distinction. And at one point, you all remember Coconut Grove was looking to secede. So I'm saying you've got a pretty cohesive unit of a part of a district that I wouldn't mess with. But north of that, we do have some options. I'm still a believer in the 7-district concept as a model to look at, even just to study for the exercise. But I understand the will is not here on this commission at this point. But I'd like to have a long meeting with you so we can go through the modeling, so we can come up with some various options that we can present in a concrete manner. Right now, we're thinking very, hypothetically without the numbers. And so I'd like to work with you on that between now and the next meeting.
Absolutely. And I met, as you know, with your chief of staff when I called to meet with you, but I'm happy to meet with you anytime you want.
We'll do it.
And
What I want to
Texted me,
state again
and I apologize.
very firmly in the record that what I will not be in favor of is increasing the commission to any further size.
Nor do I have the ability to do that, so.
Well, I just want to put it on the record that I want to be very clear on that. Commissioner King?
Mr. DeGrandi, the last time you were here, I think we were clear about the direction that we wanted you to proceed in. Could you repeat what was my directives, just to make sure that I'm clear with the directive that I gave you?
I didn't take it by commissioners. I took it based on consensus.
Okay.
The directives I have so far is achieve substantial equality as opposed to mathematical, maintain the core of existing districts wherever feasible, which I believe you are very strongly in favor of, look at the issues relative to voter cohesion, preserve traditional neighborhoods and communities of interest together when feasible. That was the motion.
Okay, so that didn't change, did it?
No.
And that has not changed.
The
The only additional things that we've looked at is contiguity you're in agreement with, compactness. I think there's a consensus not to emphasize compactness, but you all need to vote on that. And then use of man-made
hold
and
on,
natural
Mr. Chair.
boundaries.
Go ahead.
Thank you. It is not possible to emphasize compactness and draw realistic districts, right? If you want to have an African-American district and you want to have an Anglo district, it's
I mean,
almost
right-
impossible to emphasize compactness, so it's
Right-
kind of like a
right now-
foregone conclusion.
Right now, the only compact district is District 3.
Right.
Okay? And so your plan is not really a plan of compact districts. So if you said, I want compactness as my first priority, I kind of have to redraw your plan, okay? Now, the other thing,
But I think you sort of got a consensus, you count, I think you counted to 3, right?
for no compactness.
For no compactness, right?
Right.
3 out of 5, I think that was
And
pretty
I'm
clear.
in agreement with that.
Yeah, so
Right.
I think it was 3 commissioners, I don't know, Commissioner, Madam Chair thinks, but the 3 of the 5 did not agree with compactness, and it's not a big deal for us.
Right.
But in terms of breaking up, the Commissioner Russell made a point, which I want to sort of get your legal opinion on this. Does it matter if we break up Coconut Grove, and does it really matter if Coconut Grove has a village council, they want to secede from the union? At the end of the day, does that really matter to us?
Again,
Well,
As
they
a
would
city-
still have,
matter
they
is
still
a-
have a village council, even if they're in separate districts.
Yeah, well,
One
what I
thing-
mean is, does it matter legally that Coconut Grove wants, I say secede from the union in a sarcastic way, I mean secede from the city.
Yeah.
Does it really matter that Coconut Grove doesn't want to be part of the city of Miami? If we break them up then?
matter is a political issue.
Well,
Legal-
matter, as
Legally,
I said
there is
legal.
no legal impediment,
Yeah, that's why I said legal. I was very clear.
right? Whether it
And
matters to you or not is a political
I'm
question.
usually mad, I say, give me your legal opinion. Is there a legal impediment to us
None.
dividing Coconut Grove in
None.
half?
No, there is no legal impediment for you to break
One
up
of the parties.
any traditional community.
By the way,
I disagree, and I'd like to ask a question to that
Sure.
point.
Oh, wait a minute.
Village of West Grove,
Well, West Grove is very different than the rest of the Grove,
it is, but it's
Right.
part of the Grove.
but it's very
And
different.
it can easily be disenfranchised as well.
Well, but-
If it is cut up or split up, you are affecting
But I'm trying to avoid a debate.
an at-risk population.
Am
I right?
Do I have the floor, Mr. Chair?
Let me,
You have the floor.
if I can.
Thank you, sir.
If I can, Commissioner, before you retake the floor, give you an example. of
I
what
never
I'm
thought I
talking-
lost it, but that's okay.
If I can interrupt you then.
Okay.
Just to give you an example of matters versus legal significance, when I was in the legislature and we drew a plan, my district only had one city, which was Sweetwater. And Sweetwater had 2 precincts. Sweetwater asked me to break up Sweetwater into 2 districts and actually gave me a proclamation named Miguel de Grande Day because now they had 2 representatives.
I remember that.
So it's a political question whether you want to break up an area or not. There's one train of thought that says now you have
And that
2
train of thought,
representatives.
Mr. Chair, and that train of thought is that if a particular area has 2 representatives or 2 commissioners, they may do better, right? Than if they only have 1, right?
That was the consensus of
And
Sweetwater.
if one is more effective than the other one, even better, right? So if you have 2 commissioners or 2 representatives in an area, that may be better for a particular area. The legal impediment is whether it really matters that we split up Coconut Grove, so.
There's no legal impediment.
There is no legal impediment.
It's a policy issue.
It's a policy issue, okay?
Furthermore,
Thank you.
that question was crossed already, back in 1996, I believe it was, when I think it was Mr. Stearns, the attorney, somehow got signatures, and in the middle of our financial crisis, the worst that the city ever had, we had to have a referendum on whether the city of Miami was going to still exist, or was it going to be broken up into pieces that neighborhoods could go anywhere they wanted to or create their own city. And the city of Miami residents voted overwhelmingly
Yeah.
that we were going to stay as the city of Miami.
Who brought that ad up? What's the group?
It was Gene Stearns, an attorney.
That's right. I got it.
I hope he's still not mad at me.
No longer with us.
Well, I
Well-
think he's representing some guy from Texas these days. Or a guy that came from Texas. He's in California right now, I think.
Here, Los Angeles, right?
Yeah, that's what I hear, but I could be wrong.
Mr. Chair.
I think I read something about that.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
May I? Mr. DeGrande, you got your directions. This is what you wanted.
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, don't just place it in the GPS and now go for it.
All right.
And bring one but quite precise plan back so we can work from
That's right.
Will do.
Now, what I like is a process that you make sure that you meet right away with each member of the commission.
Yes.
And it's up to us to give them the time, so I would really plead with each of you to give them time. And then from that initial meeting, meet with commissioners as often as they need to meet with you.
Sure.
And I think that each of us would at least would want to meet with him twice, if not more. And then, hold on, and then you're going to come back. Do you think you'll be ready for the first meeting in January?
Probably the second meeting in January.
Okay, so you'll come back in the second meeting in January and give us a full presentation. There's where we're going to iron out where at least three of us, that's what it takes, are going to be at on the plan. And then the next step, if we approve a plan that day, the plan, is to then, in February, have a full, blown-out public hearing on the
Final.
new districts approved by this commission.
If I may add, sir?
Yes, go ahead.
You said bring a plan, but I would love to see what I requested before, that you bring a plan without equalizing all the districts, you see,
That,
where you can have differences.
that's where I'm heading right now.
Percentage differences, and you can bring a plan that you equalize it, but another one that within the parameters of the law, you can have difference within districts. That way, in my opinion, it's going to be less disruptive.
Got it. Anything else?
I don't believe so. Anything else anybody would like to add to Mr. Grandi? Madam King? No. Okay, that's it, so.
Tomorrow, I'll be calling or emailing every one of your districts. If you could get back to me sooner than later, I would appreciate it. And
Certainly.
we'll meet with each one of you as we're starting to look at the data and proceed from there.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Mr. Grandi.
Thank you.
Surely. Thank you. Okay, we're done with all the items. As we wait for Mr. Diaz-Ortiz to get back. And I know that the minute we hear the scooter one, he'll come right back. If we could go through the boards and committees to see if anyone has to make appointments,
Not me.
and if we're ready to make them.
Yes, good evening, Chair and Commission. BC 9, the Commercial Solid Waste Management Advisory Committee. Commissioner Diaz-Ortiz currently sits on the committee and is requested to be reappointed to the committee.
So moved.
Chair, you're the chair. We just need a motion by
I
someone.
move it.
Yeah, he moves it, and
Second.
Commissioner King seconds
Second.
it. I was going to give the gavel out, but I'm afraid I'm going to get it back the way
Yeah.
this is going. Okay, I'm teasing. Okay, what else do we have? That's approved.
We have to vote on this.
Motion passes.
Yeah, it's all unanimous, correct?
Unanimous.
Thank you. BC 11, Community Relations Board. Mayor Suarez would like to reappoint Lovett McGill.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Russell, second by Commissioner King.
Don't mess with that one.
Motion passes. BC
Hold on.
13.
Anybody objects?
No way.
Okay, all right, so it passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay.
BC 13, Finance Committee, Commissioner Reyes would like to reappoint Elsa Pelais Lopez.
Okay, he makes a motion, Russell seconds it. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It passes.
BC 17, Miami-Dade County Transportation Planning Organization. Mayor Suarez currently sits on the board and would like to be reappointed.
Move it.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and it's been seconded by Commissioner King, moved by Commissioner Reyes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Approved unanimously.
BC 21, Planning, Zoning, and Appeals Board. Commissioner Russell will be appointing Hector Luis Silva, Jr.
Commissioner Russell moves it, Commissioner Ray seconds it. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's approved unanimously.
NBC 23, Urban Development Review Board, Commissioner Russell will be appointing Gia Zapatini.
He
So moved.
made the motion and Commissioner Ray seconds it. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Thank you, Chair.
That's
That
unanimous.
concludes the boards and committees. Thank you.
Okay, so then we will go back to, as I see it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Clerk, the last item in the morning agenda, which is the
It's FR2.
FR2, the amended exception for motorized scooters program.
That's correct, Chair.
Okay? That's the last one that's left for the morning agenda. This first reading ordinance, is anybody,
I'll move it.
it's moved by Commissioner Russell.
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Diaz-Padilla. Is there any discussion?
Wait a minute, can, this is.
It's an ordinance.
You don't
I
know?
understand. Yeah.
Read it.
This is the extension, right? We're gonna extend this project from the pilot requirement of the 1-year pilot program. That's what it is.
Yes, sir.
And it is because it is about to,
Yes, sir.
okay, I personally believe that you don't need that exemption now because the pilot program has, I think, the term, which is a full year, 2 full years, have not ended because this project, this program was stopped, totally stopped during COVID. And you cannot count those 3 months that it stopped as part of the time that was allocated to this program. So what I don't want to start, Commissioner, it is in this ordinance that limits the pilot program, I start the habit of having exemption for any other project. If push comes to shove, within the next 3 months, the decision has not been made from the administration regarding the assignment of selection of the companies or whatever, then we will deal with it and try to extend it. But every time that we have we have certain, we have laws and we have processes and all of that, you see, we have the habit of bending them and tailor them to what we see fit. And I'm trying to avoid that in this. There's no need. It's not gonna sunset within the next 3 months. It's not, because once you start counting, you count the days that it was stopped due to COVID. It's about 3 months. You see.
So my understanding is that the calculations were done by Public Works and the manager's office along with my office. And when you took into account even the suspension period of the program, we get to January 5th.
Well, I'm sorry, I cannot be in favor of this because I don't want to start every time that we need something. You see, instead of exempting, I'll be more inclined in voting extending it to 2 or 3 months.
I have come to my limitations on the scooters.
Yes.
So I will be voting against this like I did the last time that I was here. But in fairness, we're missing a member of the commission. So if both of you could withdraw your Yeah, if we could do that until Commissioner
Sure,
King
I'll
is
withdraw.
back, and then
Motion withdrawn.
I'll then go to the pocket items
sir.
that we had,
Thank you, Commissioner.
so that we could deal with them as quickly as we can.
I think she only went to the restroom for a few minutes.
Yeah, but it's fine. I mean, I know that she wants to vote in this, so I'm
Yeah.
holding it.
Thank you, Mr.
So, the first pocket item was a housekeeping pocket item for police. If it could be read into the record.
It's a budget item, Mr. Manager, for police.
Yeah, this is based upon when we did the budget, that I knew that we were not being given a full, straight-out budget, and I asked that any changes, they would come before us so we could approve it. And from what I'm seeing, every commission meeting that we're going to have some items like this.
Commissioner, this is authorizing the city manager to take any and all steps in order to add and fund 3 major positions to the City of Miami's Police Department.
Refund the police. I'll move it.
That's it.
You say defund?
Refund.
Oh, okay.
No, defund. huh?
Refund.
Refund.
That will be a refund.
As a commissioner, through the chair, and as I understand, this was movement that the previous chief of police made when he was eliminating positions to bring those people in.
Yeah, movements that have cost us a lot of tremendous problems. Now, my question is, have we identified where this money is coming from? Because this is not part of the budget that we approved. So this would be, in essence, a budget amendment.
Yeah, budget did a review. It'll have no material impact on the budget because just of current vacancies, especially at the very top, and as well as some other positions that have not been filled. They did an analysis. It will have no budgetary impact.
Mr. Chair, then I have a question.
Go ahead.
When you said other vacancies, those vacancies are those positions that are in patrols that we were going to hire additional patrols, they're going to suffer?
Let me get budget to answer this.
Because if that's the case, I want to.
What I'd like, so that we could have clear readings and that we keep our budget integrity intact, is that this resolution would include that the same amount that these positions are going to cost, that we have the savings from positions that will not be filled in time during this budget year. This way, the chief knows that if by some miracle we have 100 new cops from great departments that just had it in those cities and they want to be hired by us, and we got people that we could hire, we're not going to be able to hire the full 100. We might be able to get 96 or 95 so we could fill these positions for major. Are we clear? And so I'm including this amendment to this resolution.
We're clear.
That would not have any impact from what I understood from you.
But my question hasn't been answered.
Okay, what is your question?
My question is that does this have any effect on patrols that were going to be, or were scheduled to be hired?
Not this resolution, no.
No, the resolution. The hire, according to what the city manager stated, it comes from some savings and positions that are not going to be filled. Are those positions that are not going to be filled uniformed personnel, or are those positions civilians? Good, that's all I wanted to hear.
Correct.
Okay.
Plus, on the record,
Sure.
it was going to be impossible for them to have hired all the additional positions that we allocated in the new budget, combined with the existing vacancies that they already had in this fiscal year's budget. We won't be able to. So,
It's going to be tough to fill all the vacant police officer positions just because of the amount of personnel that we have at one time assigned to the academy. So it takes a long time we just closed the register. We got the register with about 738 applicants for the position of police officer. We'll start with the city employees, go on to veterans, and then we'll prioritize the certified officers that are already, but it takes a while. So by the time that we hire you and you come out to the street, it's roughly 13 to 14 months.
Commissioner Diaz, over to
But we'll
you.
do our best to fill every police officer position because we desperately need them on the streets.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What's the status of the Luis Camacho case?
Sir, the Luis Camacho investigation was closed in late October, and it's
When in October?
either 26th or 28th, sir. I don't recall the exact date. And it's pending the disciplinary determination of what the punishment will be.
Who makes that determination?
The recommendation is made by the investigator now. I'm in the process of changing that process to have a disciplinary recommendation board that will ensure that discipline that's issued out to any departmental member is fair and equitable and transparent through a board. However, this particular recommendation is made by the investigator.
Have you given any recommendation to your city manager?
Yes, I have.
And what's that recommendation that you've given?
It's a reprimand and 40 hours for improper procedure.
And reinstatement?
Say again?
And a reinstatement?
In a written statement?
A reinstatement
Correct.
as a sergeant.
Yes, my recommendation is that he be brought back to his former position.
So what are you waiting for?
I'm waiting on the final approval from my boss.
Your boss being the city manager. So what's your position, city manager?
My position is the decision will get made within the next 2 weeks.
The next 2 weeks?
Why?
Well, why? Because I remember your predecessor, I'll get to you in a minute. Your predecessor, Chief Acevedo, said it was 30 to 45 days, about 5 months ago. So have you reinstated a number of other people, right? We can talk about a whole bunch of cases, but I won't because some of them are in legal.
Litigation, yeah.
Are in litigation, legal boundaries. But whether Officer Simmons or Fernandez appears, you concluded all these decisions. What's the delay in the Luis Camacho case? Because before I authorize for vote, and I don't know if I'll be the only vote here, for any additional funding, for any additional positions in the Miami Police Department, I want to make sure the people that have been wrong, that wrong has been righted. And the next 2 weeks is not an acceptable answer. That was his answer. I'll get to him in a minute. What's your answer? Right now you said that you were going to send it to somebody else, but you've already recommended an action.
Correct. So
why are you sending it to anybody else? What's the ping pong going on here with Luis Camacho?
So the recommendation that was made, it goes through, the officer signs it. He has 10 days per contracts and civil service to request a disciplinary review board, which he's entitled, and then he can go through the civil service. But once he signs, he can be brought back. My recommendation is for him to be brought back while that proceeding goes on.
Okay, if you're recommending he be brought back, why are you sending it back to, Mr. Chair? Why are you sending it back to anybody else? Why are you passing the buck? I mean, the buck stops with you and then with him, with the city manager, right? So what's the problem here? So can you have like sort of give me a straight answer?
So for personnel actions, the final word comes from the city manager. For strategic and police matter comes from me.
That's not what you said. What you said was you're sending it back to somebody else to come back with somebody else within your department. You already recommended something.
Correct.
So you don't have to send it back to anybody in the police department. Is that correct?
What's missing is for the employee to exercise his civil service rights. So he has a right to challenge that discipline that has been recommended.
Well, my understanding is that he hasn't. That he simply wants to be reinstated.
He has not because he hasn't been presented with it. So he hasn't had the opportunity
You have
to
not
accept it.
presented, Officer, Sergeant Camacho, with what you're recommending?
I have not.
You have not. And why is it, Mr. Manager, why is it 2 weeks? If the case is closed since October 26th, we're December 9th. Okay?
Yes, sir.
When was he suspended?
August 22nd. He
No.
was relieved of duty, I believe.
I think it's earlier than that.
I can check my notes, but I believe it was August 22nd.
When was he suspended? You don't remember? Does anybody remember? Does anybody know? Does anybody in your staff know when he was suspended?
I can get the answer. I don't have the file, but I can get the answer.
I want the answer.
Okay, let me get it real quick.
Mr. Chair, if you allow me, just a 1
You
minute.
have the floor. I haven't said a word.
I know.
Now,
It's very, very impressive, by the way.
Yes,
By the way, you're a great chair.
From here on, so you don't have to worry about me. If I want you to stop talking, you'll hear from me. If not, you
I
go
kind of
ahead
sense
and
that. I
talk.
kind of sense that.
Okay,
And I want the floor later.
yeah, sure. I only have one quick question, if I may. Has Chief Sergeant of Arms Lamprey approved all this or not? Chief, has Mr. Lamprey approved all this?
Sir, they work in separate details that do not commingle each other.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
Senior Sergeant Arms Lampo doesn't have
I'm
a
sorry,
say-so
I'm
in this one.
confused, and I thought he was the one that had to approve it all.
Mr. Chairman, was there a second to my earlier motion on PI 1? I just didn't catch it.
Excuse me?
Was there a second to my motion on PI 1?
Chair, yes, sir. It was seconded by Commissioner.
Yes, there was a second
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear it. Thank you.
to your motion. I believe it was Mrs. King and the
Chair, it was
police.
Commissioner Reyes at 4:56 PM.
Okay, all right. So there's a legitimate motion and second. Now, if any of you feel that we're taking too much time in any item, you could always ask me, and if, I'm gonna let it go, then we could have a vote between ourselves to see if we want to bring it to a close or not. I'm very democratic.
You're sort of in a Yuletide mood, right?
Huh?
You're in a Yuletide mood.
This is December, we
it's
only,
Christmas.
we only do one thing in December that could be,
But we already deferred that, so we can wait till January for that.
While the chief is looking for the date, I'm very straight on my question. Mr. City Manager, why haven't you reinstated and followed with the chief's recommendation? Why haven't you?
Tobacco.
Is there any further investigation? Or ask me, yes or no? There's any pressure over you not to do it?
No, there's no pressure. I have a pending meeting with his legal counsel, with Camacho's legal counsel. We're working on that now. That's why I don't want to make a decision until they have that.
Because
That's
perception is everything. And the perception is that you have been pressured not to do that, and there is some opposition. So, from other people, and to go above what the chief has concluded, given the investigation and all of that. And I want to hear from you if there is any pressure, or if not, why have you not gone through? Follow through on the chief decision that he sent it to you. It is your call. You're the one that have to call it, right?
No, it is my call, and I absolutely want to meet with the attorney for Mr. Camacho, as
No.
well as Camacho directly.
I have a feeling, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. Mr. Camacho will waive that. What we want you is to reinstate him. And we want you to, hold on a second.
Wait, you asked me a
Hold on.
question.
No, it's not a question, actually. I'm making a statement. I'll ask you a question in a minute.
excuse me,
You've been recommended, hold on.
Commissioner, the only thing that I have no problem in you doing what you were elected to do. You certainly, like every one of us here, has the right, in fact, many times, a duty to ask questions. the only thing that I would just like to suggest that there are others that don't have the same warm and fuzzy feeling about us up here in the city of Miami. And I don't want anyone trying to say that you were trying to say or do something other than all that you're trying to do in getting information.
Correct.
So
And
I'll leave it at that.
And thank you,
You're on your
Mr.
own.
Chair, and I agree with that. What I'm saying is that if the chief recommended, I'm just trying to follow the train of thought here. If the chief recommended that he be reinstated with some minor punishment,
You're inquiring as to process.
that's all what I'm saying is that if the chief has recommended that he be reinstated, and that the decision is now either yours or the city manager's, why does it need 2 more weeks? So what's the process that we're undergoing right now? And what's the reason why you haven't done it? You stated you're waiting for legal counsel. I happen to know that that's not completely factual. Does Camacho, well, I happen to know that that's not factual because I know that that Luis Camacho has not undergone any legal process yet. I'm aware of some email that was sent yesterday that the city manager, the city attorney shared with me that a lawyer is involved now because he's waited too long. He's looking for his protection. And I understand that. The question is, if the chief has already recommended something and you're the guy that makes the decision, not a question of going back to anybody else or checking with anybody else. You're the buck stops with you. What's the problem?
I want to meet with Camacho and his legal representation because he is
For what
represented by
purpose?
counsel. Because I have questions. I have questions that I want to ask Camacho. I want to look him square in the face, and there's things I want to talk to him about, and then I'll make a decision. That's all.
And-
I
okay.
want him. He's been accused of things, right? There's been an investigation.
but your police chief-
It's a personnel matter.
No.
I want to have a conversation with Camacho as well.
Mr. Chair, your police chief has already recommended a course of action. You have your department heads. Your department heads recommend something. So it's very simple. So you don't trust what the police chief recommends, obviously, because otherwise you would have taken his advice, right? His recommendation. So you're not doing that. That's fine. You want to meet with him. So what I want to know is, when are you going to meet with him? I'm talking about process now, right? When are you going to meet with Camacho so you can iron out figure out what you want to go through since you're not taking your police chief's recommendation?
First of all, don't assume that I don't trust his recommendation, right?
That's what you said.
That's not what I said, by the way.
Okay.
What I said
When
was
are you
I
going to
want to
meet?
meet. I want
When?
to meet with
When?
Camacho directly.
When?
And I just told you it'll be resolved within the next 2 weeks. I just said it. I plan on meeting with him hopefully within the next week. I've already reached out to his legal counsel. I've done it already.
So if his legal counsel wants to meet with you tomorrow, are you available to meet with him tomorrow?
I will make myself available. I don't know. If he asks me to, the only time he is available is when I have a meeting already scheduled. No, but it'll happen within the next week.
If I may, and trying to be as respectful as I can be to you and the rest of the commission, we all want to leave here early. The PC agenda could still get a little long. And before you came in today, I respectfully had asked all our colleagues, since it's December, and we want to get into the spirit of Christmas, the holidays, and try not to get involved in anything that's unpleasant or.
Right, I just want to make sure that Luis Camacho can also enjoy his holiday as well. That's all I care about.
I understand that.
Because everybody has a right to have a nice holiday too.
I've heard exactly the same thing you did. The only question in my mind is if the investigation had been closed.
It is.
Around the end of October. We're now in November.
December 9th.
December 9th. We're about 40 days after that. But the manager said that he wants to take more time. I heard him also. And I think that, we need to move on with the other stuff that we have. If that would be okay, if we could vote on the
Absolutely.
I-1.
The only thing I wanted, Mr. Chair, is to make it very clear So now we have a timeline, and that the city manager is willing to meet with Luis Camacho and figure it out sooner rather than later so that he also can have a good holiday like the rest of us. That's the only thing I care about,
It's,
and we're done with that.
the manager's decision. All that we could do is ask questions like you're asking. And at least by us making this motion now, there are some families and individuals that were wrongly dealt with that will also have
Correct.
a better Christmas, I think.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to state for the record that I advised Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla that he could ask about this because it was a closed investigation.
Sure, I
So
understand
I
that.
just wanted to place that on the record.
Yeah, I understand that, and, you know, the only area of danger that he's running into is that, I don't know, what's that guy's name, Sneakers, I don't know, that he might be getting ticked up at you, but
Is he around?
I might have to.
I think
you know,
he's after you.
I might have to go, I might have to go with your original idea that I said no, and put more sergeant of arms.
Of
you know,
course.
For us down here, so that, you know.
I think we're pretty safe, Commissioner.
Anyway.
Thank you,
Mr. Chair, if
Thank
I-
you, Mr.
if I-
Chairman, for your indulgence.
Chief, can we let it go at that?
June 22nd, I was,
Okay, well-
just to finish off the question,
All right.
that's when it was released.
Okay,
We're
that's-
good. We're fine.
Thank you. All right, is there well, there's a motion, there's a second. Russell made it, Ray is seconded. The one for PI1, the police resolution pocket item. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, it passes unanimously.
And Chair, that will include your amendment that you requested.
Yes, that was included. PI2 is the pocket item for Commissioner King. Would you like to make a motion in that?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner King, second by Commissioner Diaz-Libertilla. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It passed unanimously. PI3 was a potential pocket item from the mayor. Did we ever get any from him? Madam City Attorney, Mr. Clerk, is there a pocket item from the mayor?
Yes, there's a pocket item for homeless assistance for the building, there's a building at 5050 Northwest 7th Street
Right.
that had structural integrity issues.
Okay, let's hear it, because this is Commissioner Diaz-Libertilla's district, and he would want to make the motion on it.
And it's API monies in order to assist these individuals who have been left homeless.
Okay, what is the amount that's,
So it's an amount appropriating by means of a budget amendment, an amount not to exceed $150,000 from the Mayor's Anti-Poverty Initiative Fund to a Special Revenue Project Fund titled Emergency Hotel Motel Placement Program to assist on a one-time basis with temporary emergency hotel motel accommodations for the families that have been displaced from this property.
oh, very good, I think it's very appropriate. Commissioner Diaz makes the motion.
Yes, sir.
And
I second it.
Commissioner Ray seconds it.
Yes, and although it is in Mr. Diaz de la Portilla district, that's my neighborhood.
I know.
Only separates a couple of blocks, and I know most of those people.
You live around the block, yes.
That's right.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, it passed unanimously. The last item that we have in pocket items is PI4. There was a discussion, questioned pocket item of the manager that has to do with homelessness also. So he could brief us as to what has happened with all the ordinance that we had approved in the last meetings. What have they done with cleanups in particular, and other matters? And by the way, Mr. Clerk, has anyone come to you, as I had requested, to, especially those nice, fine people that were here, wanting us to provide tens of millions of dollars for new condominiums? Did any of those fine people ever come and fill out anything or bring a homeless so they could inscribe them as being adopted?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. All right, sir.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, and welcome Commissioner King to the dais. Yeah. I wanted to just bring you up to date, Commissioners. My goal today in presenting this is walk away with some more input from the Commission, from you all, in terms of I'll provide the options that I've seen that are available, that I've researched, and then hopefully get some more input on you on a particular direction, maybe stay away from one or do something.
I thought we had given, pretty clear direction on the areas that this commission wanted the administration to attack immediately, such as cleaning 3 times a week in areas where we have a lot of homelessness, for their protection and from our residents' protection, both.
That, Commissioner, specifically has been done. Matter of fact, they work 5 days a week, and I can let the chief.
Here's what I'd like.
Yes, sir.
If the administration can send me when the program started, in what areas you have gone to clean up, and how many times a week those areas you have gone to clean up. And then, beginning next week, each week, you provide to us by Monday morning, how many areas have you gone to, and how many times a week to clean up, so that we know you're keeping on top of it. I will be frank with you. I've seen areas by the MRC. I've seen a couple areas in my own district that it doesn't seem to me that anyone has gone to do any cleanup whatsoever.
I can provide some details to you now, Commissioner, so
Well,
if you'd like, or however you deem fit.
I prefer, for the sake of time, if it would be sent to us in
can do that.
writing,
Yes, sir.
and somebody signs it in blood.
I'll sign it myself, sir.
Okay.
And
In
blood.
other words, what I'm trying to say is that someone is going to be held responsible for the truthfulness of what we're getting, if it's being done or not.
Yes, sir. I clearly understand that.
Sir, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to present very quickly. Okay, I don't know why it's doing that. Anyway, I wanted to keep with you all the main thing, which is the main thing we want to concentrate on, and that's, and you alluded to it, Commissioner, which is really trying our best to encourage, support, assist as many individuals to accept shelter. That is the ultimate goal of everything that we're doing.
Commissioner.
Thank you, sir.
Chairman, if I understood your request,
Yes.
we could bypass the presentation if we provide a report every Monday.
I'm sorry?
If I understood you correctly, you're okay with us bypassing with the presentation this evening as long as we provide you an update on a every weekly basis?
I have no problem if we bypass it, but what I'd like is that you provide us with an updated of when you begun the cleanup since the commission gave you the instructions from that time on, the addresses of the areas you've gone to, and how many times have you gone to those areas?
Yes, sir, we'll have that.
In other
to you.
words, I want to be sure that what we instructed the administration to do, that is being done. And then the other area that I'd like an update on, one of our requests was that we would, if there's no sufficient shelters, no housing, what areas has the administration found that, and identified that we could bring people to potential shelters, whether outdoors or indoors?
Yes, sir, acknowledge you'll have a report on Monday, you and the commission.
And look, there's nothing that forces us to have to give 5-star treatment to anyone. But this commission up here has a total responsibility to all of our residents to provide for their health, safety, and welfare. And when I'm hearing what I've heard in the last couple of weeks, that in the case of two more homeless people rather, that one went to Palm Beach County before he came back, and he killed a 14-year-old boy. And it was someone that was not from him. He was from Georgia originally. Then he was living in Seminole County. And I don't know. I mean, maybe we're Mecca for some of these people. They want to come here. But he wasn't from here, and we're suffering the consequences. There's a 14-year-old boy that's been killed because this guy was out here. And then just yesterday, we had a lady that lives in one of the residential buildings in Biscayne that went for her usual walk with her dog, and she gets sexually assaulted by another homeless person. Thank God that she was a scrappy lady, and you know, she stood up to him and took his picture, and he ran out. And thank God that the police department found him. This guy not only, again, was not from here, he was from New York, but somehow has stopped on his way to Miami in Tallahassee, where there was an outstanding warrant out for him. So I'm seeing again and again what I showed you, the administration, when I went out interviewing all the homeless people that we had around our parks in downtown and Biscayne, that the majority are not from Miami. They're coming or being sent from some other areas, and the majority are individuals that are out in the streets, not because of a financial problem, but because they're burned out, mentally burned out with drugs. They need mental help, mental counseling. Some, frankly, need medication, and they also need drug counseling. And this is why they don't want to go anywhere, because anywhere means they can't use drugs, they can't buy drugs. In the streets, they can do both.
Monday, you will receive a report on what has been done since the conception of the HEAT.
And look,
And therefore-
I am more than willing, if we got to take a stand, and anybody wants to sue us so that they could keep trying to make our city into what we see with all these tents and so on, if we have to go all the way to the Supreme Court of the nation, so be it. But our residents need to be protected too. And we have certainly been more than compassionate to people out in the streets. But, you know, rights, it's a two-way street. You can't just give a small, minute population a free-for-all on rights that are going to affect the 99+% of the rest of your population. Sir.
Commissioner, if I may, would you, on the part of what I've been able to research and look at so far, is there a way that I can sit with either of your staffs and just go through it a little bit more? Would be welcome.
Well, look, I don't want to embarrass any of you or put you in the spot, because I know that you didn't know that I was going to ask for this today. So that's not my intention at all. And it's December, Christmas is coming, the holidays are coming, but I don't want to be seeing people out in the streets that are hurting our residents.
I understand.
And believe you me, there's a great potential for that. You have some very unstable people, mentally unstable, because of the drugs they're taking and keep taking. And we don't gain a hold of this, we're going to be seeing more and more of these cases. Not that we haven't had them in the past, we have certainly, but they've been kept more quietly. And I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to bring each and every one of them up until we gain a hold of this situation and do what we need to do to protect people that are homeless and our residents.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner.
Thank you. Can you put the last slide up, if I may, Mr.
It's
Chair?
not the last slide, but I can put it up, yes, sir.
Well, the one that was in front of me right now, I just
Absolutely.
lost it. This is with all due respect.
Please.
This Commissioner Carollo is correct. And he's been talking about this for a number of commission meetings now. So you can get rid of that so I can read it. So the first bullet point, a stable and safe space, and you put safe space in quote marks, where the unsheltered homeless can reside temporarily and transform their lives. That sounds like a whole bunch of crock to me. There's no solution there, there's no proposal there, it's just bureaucratic speak. How are you gonna do that, right? So I think what Commissioner Carollo is looking for, and we're all looking for, are real solutions. It's a complex problem, we all know that. It's not a simple solution. When you write things like that, things like visually eliminating the blights associated with unsheltered homelessness. When you write a stable and safe space, what the heck is a safe space? Right? Those are things that sound nice and look nice on a PowerPoint presentation. That's not a real solution. You know, a lot of these people cannot be sheltered or shelter resistant. So what's a real solution? And I expect from my government and the people that work for this government to give real solutions, not bureaucratic speak and things like this in PowerPoint so that we all walk away feeling that we're doing something and we're not doing anything. So with all due respect, please come back to me with something with more substance, not this. Moving forward. Thank you.
Look, a few weeks ago, before I give the floor to Commissioner Reyes, there were some big articles that we had a whole group that was going to be doing cleanups, and then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, everybody went away. I'm going to tell you now that some people that are out there pretending that they care so much about the homeless population, giving tents out, they're not doing the homeless people out there or our residents any good. First of all, there's been tens of thousands of dollars spent on all these tents. Where does that money come from? I got a pretty good idea, and it's been sent to Miami to a certain organization to buy tents and put them all out in the streets like this. So I'm looking for a real solution. What Commissioner Diaz-Portillo said, I feel that and much more. But I'm trying to keep with the spirit of Christmas and the holidays. And I backed off. He could be the Grinch this December.
Okay.
But the bottom line is that, look, you guys better come with something concrete like we've asked, and the administration better go out and do the cleanups that we requested, because January, the holidays are over, and I'm going to be a little different. And I don't want to be reading more cases like the two that I described here from the last couple of weeks between now and our next meeting in January. Because frankly, the finger's going to be on you guys in the administration.
Right, but beyond that, if I may, Commissioner, and I won't belabor the point, I know it's late and we want to go home, but we passed a resolution earlier that allocated $150,000 to 5050 Northwest 7th Street.
Yes.
So that we can house beyond December 15th. These families have been, these are homeless people. Now, that money should have come.
The difference with those homeless.
No, I know, but I'm getting to the
And
point.
what we're talking about, these are.
I know, but I'm getting to the point that's $150K. That's a responsibility of the homeless trust to house everybody, and they have a $60 million plus surplus, right, in their budget. And why is it that with all this money that they have, why is it that they don't give us any answers? Okay, fine, they're not completely accountable to us. Then why is it that our own people that should be accountable to us, not to us, but to us as representatives of the people in Miami, why is it that we get all this bull? Why not real solutions? If there are no solutions, because there are people that are shelter resistant, then say it. Well, you know, of the 600 and something in the city of Miami, you know, 200 are shelter resistant. Then at least we know what we're dealing with. But what bothers me is a constant PowerPoints and presentations and to go around and run around and run around, and we never get anywhere. There's never a solution. We're going to do it this way, we're going to invest this here, we're going to do that. There's never a specific plan of action to solve the problem. It's not bathrooms, it's not, you know, $380,000 bathrooms in the middle, whatever, not to criticize you. I just think you're trying to do the right thing. And it's not an easy issue, but it bothers me that there's not a comprehensive plan from this administration, since I've been here, and I've seen it from before I got here, that says this is the way we address this issue. So why can't you guys, any of you guys, get together and kind of come up with a plan to come to us? We're not the experts. You guys are the ones that are paid a lot of money to come up with these ideas. To come to us and hire experts to tell us, hey, this is how you solve it. So I agree with Commissioner Carollo, and Commissioner Reyes has also expressed it in the past, that we're kind of getting fed up with this. And now it's Christmas, so we'll let it go. But they're not going to have a great Christmas. And we're not going to have a great Christmas, and the residents are not going to have a great Christmas when people are defecating and urinating around them, and they feel threatened. And the people that are homeless, unfortunately, through mental illness or drug addiction or what it is, you know, that we're not addressing that issue either. So we have to find that balance. But give us a way to find that balance. Is that too much to ask from our professionals that work in our city? That's what I want. I think that's what we all want.
Commissioner Reyes had asked me before, and then I'll go to you, Commissioner.
Let me see where I start. When we passed that resolution that we passed,
Ordinance and
the
resolution.
ordinance for the homeless, trying to clean downtown from camping and all of that. It was included that in that ordinance that the administration was going to find, it was going to look and find and habilitate places, areas that in which the homeless could go and camp there, or they could be moved there. Commissioner Carollo just asked a question a little while ago and says, well, where are those areas? Have they been identified? Had they been habilitated? Had they done anything? Because the only thing that I've heard is we're looking into it. We're looking into it. And enough is enough. It's enough looking. You see, we need to find areas that our police can move them and tell them, you have to get out of here, but you can go some other place. You see, if not what we are doing now, we are moving it from one street to the other, you see, which is not what the intention of that ordinance. Another thing that I brought to the chief and I also to the downtown commander is that a lot of, I would say, drug dealings take place amongst the homeless. I personally have witnessed some, and I have to commend the police department because they are taking action on it, but I don't think it's enough. I think that, Mr. Chief, Mr. Morales, you see, everybody knows that, as will have been stated, that the majority of the homeless, they are not economically, affected. There are some, I'm not going to say that all, there are some, but the majority they have psychological problems or drug addiction. If we attack the drug addiction, the only way, by limiting or curtailing the supply, they got two things that they can do. Either they recognize that they have a problem and go into rehab, or they're going to move from this area where they can get their hands on the drugs. And therefore, I'm asking you that to have details, undercover details, amongst the homeless, so you can go after those dealers that they supply the drugs, be it pills or be it weed or will be whatever it is, that they supply to. And please, I mean, once and for all, try to find those, it is true what Commissioner Diaz did. We want action, we want a plan that has, it has a set of actions enumerated. We're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and we're doing this, you see? But a plan that has an end goal, and an end goal is to diminish, if not, which is very difficult, eliminate the number of homeless in the city of Miami, which is going to be very difficult because there are people that they want to be homeless. That's a fact. That's a fact. But those homeless that are addicted, or those homeless that have psychological problems, they should be identified. And for those addicted, what you should go to the source of drugs so we can curtail their supply. So they can move out or they can go into rehab. And please, bring an answer. At least, where are you looking at? Where are you looking at? Where do you want to place those campings that we talked about, that they could be moved there? And Chief, another thing that we have talked about here, and we were talking before, it is the legality of a homeless urinating or defecating on the street. And I had to ask this question many times. If I do it, I'll be arrested. Well, why then something had to happen. Anybody that goes, and that's the only thing that I know. It's not the only thing that they do on the streets. I have seen doing other things, okay? So, if a common person, a person there is a violation of the law because of that behavior, you see, why we allow somebody to abuse from it, you see? Because that's a big problem. It is a big problem. And drug is a big problem. I think it is a major factor. Major contributing factor. Well, if it is the major contributing factor, let's go after the supply. Let's go after the supply. And then you are the one that are going to deal with homeless. Well, if they don't have the supply and they are in withdrawal, well, try to convince them to go into rehab. Get your people to talk to them and get into rehab. But it is, in my opinion, it is of the utmost importance that we have details of undercover officers amongst the homeless population, and we go after the suppliers of drugs. Okay? Okay, Chief?
Commissioner King?
Hi, I've been a board member of the Camillus House for several years, and I just want to say that I don't envy your job. I would like to echo what my colleagues are saying, that you should put forth a more realistic plan. They may not like it, but it's better to tell the truth, because solving the homeless issue is not an overnight fix. It's not going to happen overnight. We cannot gloss over the fact that the homeless population has many issues. You're not going to, Commissioner Reyes, talk to someone that is homeless who has a drug addiction and convince them to go into rehab. They're just not going to do that. We have to serve our homeless population with compassion. We have to balance the needs of our residents, keep them safe, as well as be compassionate to our homeless population. I would encourage you to partner with the Camilla's House and the Homeless Trust. They are doing amazing things to help get people off of the street. But again, not everybody is going to go willingly.
I know that.
And there are some bad characters, as there are in any population. There are bad characters. But we can put a plan together that is more substantive than what I saw here. I know the homeless, the Camilla's House, they have a team that goes out and helps medicate people who they've identified as having mental illness. But again, this isn't a one-day fix. It's a constant going out, communicating with them, getting them to trust you, getting them on medication, and then getting them to get into the homeless shelter. So I want to just say, I'm with you. I support you. If you need any assistance from me, I am here.
Thank you.
But that, please tell my colleagues the truth so that you don't have discussions like they just had with you in, hey, what's going on? We're not getting anything done. Because again, this is an overnight fix, and we have to be compassionate for this population as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah, Commissioner Reyes, go ahead.
Ms. Kane, I do understand that this is a very complex problem. And I know that they are not going to, you cannot convince them. I said you tried. You tried by gaining their trust and tried to convince them. I'm trying to convince them that it behooves them, you see, and there is hope. I have been, for example, I'm very, I don't know if you have heard about Hermanos de la Calle. Hermanos de la Calle is a program, and just went to one of their houses and the homes that they have. And everybody that they have, and they have about 4 or 5 houses with 8 people that they have gotten out of the street. It is because they have gained their trust and they have become clean, and they have helped them become clean. But what I'm saying is that we need to have those places, or camping, or however you want to call it, where they can go there. And while you were referring to provide the services at that place, yes, we need to do that. But at the same time, we have to go after the supply of drugs. And that's what I wanted, that's what I was saying. And then and I hope that you have qualified personnel that will act like this group that is Hermanos de la Calle, that qualified personnel, that are psychologists or they are social workers, they can work with them trying to get them out of that horrible addiction. See? And that's what I was trying to say. And I don't think that this can go overnight, but what we have to do is a comprehensive plan. A comprehensive plan where we are going to attack this problem every other way. Of course, we have to be humane. We have to treat them humanely. But they have rights. But also, the residents have rights too. You see? And the business owners, they have right too. So I think that it's a very touchy problem. It's a very difficult problem. But unless we start a comprehensive plan, we are not going to go nowhere. Because yes, the Homeless Trust, they get $65 million. And every year is the same thing. You see, I'd worked with Camilla's House. I've been working with them since, I would say, it's in the early 80s, when we were forming the Overtown Park West Redevelopment Project. I was in charge of trying to relocate Camilla's House when it was before. You see, I know there is a big problem, and they work. It is a good program, but they need our help also. You see, this is not only one institution's problem. You see, I really hope that pretty soon Josh Liefman can open up his center, which is going to be great help. And I encourage every one of you, my fellow commissioners, to go and visit the facilities that Judge Liveman is building, which is, I think it's gonna be a game changer, and it's gonna be an example for the whole nation. So, nothing against you, my friend. It is that as much as the residents are frustrated, we are also frustrated because we want to see actions and we want to see some results. And that's it. Okay.
Well, let's move on then, because we have a TC agenda. And gentlemen, because I've been kind today, don't think that that means I am blind. Because I didn't want to use that word. I know I have been not told the truth on the cleanups. I know in my district, what I see the same people every day with the sofas, the everything else they have that hasn't been moved. In that shelter tent city that we have by the MRC, I see that nothing has happened there, no cleanups, no anything, because the tents are in the same way, in the same place with the sofas and everything else. And Commissioner, you had talked about drugs. All that it takes is one trained dog to just pass by, and I guarantee you that dog is going to be sniffing out a lot of stuff that's out there. But you know, this will be for January. I just want to be told the truth. So I hope that what I've asked for each of us to be sent on Monday, we get an update since the commission gave you instructions as to how many cleanups you've done where, how many times a week, and then on a weekly basis, you're informing each commissioner what you have done in cleanups in their district and citywide. So anyway, there's no vote to be taken on this. We have one last cleanup item that we need to do. If Commissioner Russell would ask for RE2 to be reheard, and Commissioner Reyes would ask for RE2 to be reheard.
RE2?
Yes.
That's my item.
We have a cleanup item.
Yeah, the RE2, I think is a carve-out that Commissioner,
No, I'm sorry. So for RE2, we need to rehear that item.
Yes.
We need to reconsider
Yeah,
it
it's
so
just
that one of our elected,
Yeah, it's a cleanup item. There was
Right.
a mistake that was made.
Is it the Vector truck?
yeah.
So there's a motion, there's a second.
The motion?
All in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
There's four that asked for it to be reheard. And now Commissioner King needs to present something on this item before we bring it up again and vote on it.
I need to advise the body that I have a conflict with this item. Waste Management is a client of mine, so I cannot vote on this item.
Understood.
Okay, that's fine.
That's fine.
So let me just wait for her to step out, and then we'll take it back again. Who made the motion and
But come
seconded?
right back, Commissioner.
It was a block vote, moved by Commissioner Russell, seconded by Commissioner Reyes.
Okay, is that fine if you, okay, so it's been moved again by Commissioner Russell, second by Commissioner Reyes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All four of us here voted unanimously for it. Okay, I don't believe we have anything else in the regular agenda left.
FR2.
FR2, though.
Oh, sorry,
We have to
guys.
wait for Commissioner.
Sorry, guys.
Madam Chair, come back.
I almost forgot.
And Commissioner, if I may, Mr. Chair, if I may, I think at 6 o'clock we have a Christmas tree lighting, so we can probably get rid of this in about 5 minutes flat.
Okay, well, it's FR2, so who made the motion? Russell made it, you seconded it?
Yes, sir.
I don't think we need any further discussion. I think
No.
we know how we all stand.
Yes, sir.
All in favor
Chair.
signify by saying aye.
Chair.
Aye.
Chair, it is an ordinance.
An ordinance of the Miami City Commission
Didn't
amending.
you read it before when we lumped everything together?
No,
Okay, I'm
supposedly.
sorry. I thought it was right before.
Chapter 2, Article 2 of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended entitled Administration, Mayor, City Commission, more particularly by amending Section 2-33 to exempt the motorized scooter pilot program from the duration requirements pertaining to pilot programs containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
Okay? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All against? No. It passes 3-2.
Second reading, if it could be set for 113.
Okay, that'd be fine.
And then I just wanted to confirm, for the pocket items, the Liberty City Trust item, was that already heard?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, so that's it for the morning session, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna step out for the Christmas tree lighting, and then when we come back in a few minutes, we will do the PC agenda, together with the PC agenda and FL, agenda.
Or we can just make a motion to pass the PZ agenda right now.
Well,
I don't know how controversial any of these items are for
I
you, but
don't know either.
I'm happy to move it and I'm comfortable.
there's only PC 5 that's left.
I will second that, Chair, if you,
PC 6, Midtown overlay,
That one as well?
PC 4,
Mr. Chair, I think Todd Hannon is going crazy over there in the corner.
yes, yes.
If you don't mind, sir, I know you were reading the list, but if you don't mind, I'll read it, if that's, with your permission.
Certainly, if you want to make sure I don't miss anything.
Thank you, sir. So the only items remaining on the agenda are PZ4, PZ5, PZ6, and PZ9.
So moved.
I already moved
Hold
it.
on a second. I
Okay,
have
you
a,
moved it, so I'll
I
second
have
it.
a problem with PC9.
Okay, so,
And PC9, I have some comments, and I heard some of residents come and oppose it, because one thing that this legislation make me question, why are we given the Historic and Environmental Preservation Board head so much authority? You see, I believe in, I'm a clear believer in property rights, but I don't think the Historic and Environmental Preservation Board should have any say such as an authority. I mean, when they declare something historic, it has to be based in, we're given a carte blanche, and I don't want that. That's my problem,
Mr. Chair?
you see? So I cannot support this. I will vote on the other ones, but this one, if you want to take a different vote.
can we take a 5-minute recess so we can do the tree?
Okay.
Otherwise, we're going to be missing it, and we're asked to be stepped out, okay? Thank you. This is December. Christmas, you gotta be gentle,
It
compassionate.
was very tepid. I mean,
Yeah, no.
Barnaby's ready to read the
The,
items.
Okay, if I could get a resolution for PC 4, 5, and 6.
So moved.
It's moved by Commissioner Reyes.
No,
As Commissioner Diaz-Portillo, second by Commissioner Russell.
I had clarification from,
I'm not talking about the one you were discussing.
no,
before.
I said you can include it.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to keep the same original motion with all of them together.
Okay,
if
That's
possible.
right. You can include it because I got clarification. The only thing that the head board is going to be, I thought that they had the right to say, to declare historic or not, which to me is, it's stupidity
Okay.
to the max.
All right.
But it is already historic. The only thing that they're going to do is make sure that the guidelines are according to what Caesar said.
All right, PC 4, PC 5, PC 6, and PC 9.
So moved.
Been moved by Commissioner Russell, second by Commissioner Diaz-Portillo. All in favor,
I
signify.
have one amendment, Mr. Chairman.
Excuse me?
One amendment.
Okay.
On PZ6, before we read everything, before Barnaby reads everything into the record, on PZ6, the Midtown overlay, what they're looking is to change their ability to unlock height. And my ask is that if they do enact that height bonus, that the bonus go toward the Parks Fund and specifically toward their connection to the Baywalk as well as the Baywalk itself. Is that all right with everybody?
But they're not even in the, near the water.
They're 3 blocks away,
Yeah.
and there's no active spaces in that area. And so there are very specific points of the Baywalk that are missing right up there. And I've already spoken with the applicant, and they are open to it, proffering a covenant to that effect.
Does the seconder of the motion accept that?
no, I'm not okay with that amendment.
Okay, well, you could always bring that back.
I can't vote for this without this in there.
Okay.
Vote against?
All right. Then, this is a new one for me that, this is parks money that we could use in many other areas. Of
course.
We're putting it specifically into that one area that I'm a little concerned about.
it's
That's
the same
why
as- Mr.
I'd
Chairman.
rather that we bring that back and look at it. Otherwise, we could defer that whole item.
We could defer the item because
Okay, so let's defer PC 6. There's a motion by Russell, second by Diaz-Portillo, and deferring PC 6.
Can we get?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye,
And is that to the January 13, 2022 City Commission meeting?
Yes.
yes. Then we will go back to PC 4, 5, and 9.
So
I'll move it.
Moved by Commissioner Diaz-Portillo, second by Commissioner King. All in favor
Chair.
signify by saying aye.
Each
gotta
one of
read-
those items is an ordinance.
me?
Each one of those
They have
items
to
is
be
an
read, they have
ordinance.
to be read.
Yes, sir.
PC 4 is an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending ordinance number 13114, the zoning ordinance of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended, more specifically by amending Article 3, Section 3.3.3, titled Waterfront Standards, Article 3, Section 3.11, titled Waterfront Standards, Article 5, Section 5.5, titled Urban Center Transit Zones T5, and Article 5, Section 5.6, titled Urban Core Transit Zones T6, to grant flexibility regarding waterfront building setback requirements in conjunction with recent amendments to Appendix B, titled Waterfront Design Guidelines, making findings, containing a subrogation clause, and providing for an effective date. PZ 5 is an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending ordinance number 10544 as amended the Miami Comprehensive Neighborhood Plan of the City of Miami, Florida, pursuant to an expedited state review process, subject to Section 163.3184 Florida statutes by adding a property rights element as required by Section 163.3177, subsection 6, subsection I, subsection 1 Florida statutes, making findings, containing a subrogation clause, and providing for an effective date. And PZ 9 is an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending ordinance number 13114 to the zoning ordinance of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended more specifically by amending Appendix A, Section 8.2, titled Village West Island District and Charles Avenue, NCD2, to change the responsibility for reviewing and making recommendations to the planning director from the Urban Design Review Board to the Historic and Environmental Preservation Board, making findings, containing a subrogation clause, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, passed unanimously. Mr. Clerk, if for the future, for the chairwoman, when she chairs the meeting, if you can make sure that PC items that are ordinance, so you put in the top ordinance, so it could be easily seen when we get late into the night. If we don't read it, that it's an ordinance, we might forget, we get tired. So it'd be easier if you include that in the title.
On the agenda plasma, if you look over to your left, you'll see an FR, SR designations. That's to denote either a first reading or a second reading ordinance.
Okay.
But I can go over that with the chair once
Sure.
we get ready for
You can
January
just put
13th.
like an OR on it so people know it's an ordinance. You can put like an ORD on it so we know,
Yes, sir.
okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
in the yellow line.
Little yellow line there, ORD.
Not every planning and zoning item is an ordinance, so I wouldn't put it in the yellow title. I guess we could maybe do something here
Yes.
for the actual item.
Yeah, put it in the actual item then, so. that-
Yes, sir.
I have a feeling that our new chairwoman is gonna be a really, really quick learner. But just, the first couple of steps, the baby steps are important, but after that, I think she'll do quite well. I have no doubt about that.
You better show him, when we're talking about baby steps, you better show him your size 12 shoes, okay? All right, we have two more here. Future legislation.
Those
FL1,
were only for public notice. So
okay,
you don't
public
have to be
notice,
here.
so we don't have to deal with it. Now, we're done, but I've been advised of something, and it's up to this commission if he wants to deal with it or not. I'm only the chair for the day, and that has to do with PH6, that we had voted upon it, but I'm just trying to save us headaches into the future, and I'd rather give someone 5 minutes to talk, and then you could take any actions on it or not take any action. I have no idea what it's about. This is PH6, execute WAS easement for Grove Bay. We had approved this already. I thought it was all fine, and I'm told no, but the only part, which is why I'm bringing it back for your consideration if you want, is that I was told that in the portion in the morning for public hearing, they were in negotiations, or you describe it, with the city at that time. So it's obvious they couldn't have been here to have addressed this on it. So what's the will of this commission?
Chairman, I'm certainly open to hearing Mr. Pathman and his client's public comment portion, and then the body will make a decision on whether or not to reopen the item. From what my understanding is, they're going to make a case for why they believe we've either ruled incorrectly or the staff has advised us incorrectly. So,
Okay. All right, so how much time do you need, Mr. Pathman?
public comments.
2 minutes. No, 2 minutes.
Public comment.
It's 2 minutes, it's 2 minutes.
How about,
Thank you, Madam Chairperson.
okay, how about Commissioner Russell, since you're in the district here, going to give you 2, and I'm going to be gracious today for the holidays and give you an extra one.
I love that
You got 3
Yuletide
minutes.
spirit. I'm glad it's carrying over from the morning to the evening. Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, Commissioners, my name is Wayne Pathman with the Law Office of Pathman Lewis. I'm here on behalf of Grove Harbor. As has been unfortunately the situation between Grove Harbor and the city, we have not ever received notice and or consent for the things that are being done on the leasehold that we have with the city. The city is the lessor for both parcels, but somehow we don't get notice of the issues that are happening where there's either ground improvements or parking lots being built on the leasehold that we have and that we're paying rent on to the city. So that's the first issue. The second issue may be a housekeeping one, but the legal description on the survey that you're relying upon that you approved is incorrect. And we pointed that out to the city this morning. We had yesterday a Zoom call with Susan Hollander and other representatives of different staff, the city attorney's office, I think the manager's office. We did that again today for over an hour, and we expressed to them the concerns that we have, that we don't have any information, we did not have as-built plans, did not have a proper survey, and we did not have a utility survey as well showing where all the utilities are. We believe we came up with a resolution. If the clerk could pass out what I gave you earlier, I'd appreciate it, the little packet. So just moving quickly, because I have very little time, as we did with the FP&L easement, I asked for a little bit of time. I asked if I could have 2 weeks, 30 days to try to find a solution. We did. I think I have a similar solution for this situation. There is proposed, if you look at this area here, this one diagram that has the black dots, this is where the easement is currently running. If we just slightly move it to the south, which will still be on Grove Harbor property, not Grove Bay, you get accomplished the same thing that you're trying to accomplish now with having a larger conduit for water and sewer. So it's just basically moving it from this line to this line. This is the property line, so it's still within the Grove Harbor property. The other thing I'd like to make the city aware of, which the city has nothing to do with right now, but you know there's pending litigation between the parties. It's on appeal. If the appellate court comes back and finds that the tri-party agreement has been violated, which the city is a party to, then you'd have to tear this all up anyhow. So my solution is don't tear anything up. Let's put the easement in a place that works for everybody. It's still on Grove Harbor property. And I think we can resolve this over the next couple of weeks dealing with staff. If Suzanne Hollander is here, we spent a lot of time with her on the phone. I think we had very good dialogue. We provided a lot of information to the city, and we received, some of the information back. There still is no utility plan that would really help us to finally determine exactly where this easement can go. But our surveyor, based upon the information we have, believes that this new location would work. And again, it doesn't impact Grove Bay, if that's your concern. It's still on Grove Harbor property. But it doesn't impact us in a way where we can't do anything with our property. But one other thing that I really want to emphasize is the city, as the landlord, has obligations under the lease. And this is the third time now where some action has been taken by a city department that has impacted the leasehold of your tenant. There's another item that I need to talk to the manager about at some point in the future, but the surface parking lot for the building that's been built here to the north, a portion of that, about 15 plus spaces, is on the Grove Harbor leasehold property without notice to us. So I'm coming in as someone who doesn't want to be adversarial. I have a good relationship with Jeff Bass, I think he's still here, who's the attorney for the other side. I'm trying to find solutions, work together so this whole entire mess can get cleaned up. And if I'm given just a couple weeks and we can finalize this with Public Works, I think that we have a solution and everybody wins.
It's,
I have a question.
Yes.
Just the parking spaces that you're complaining about are built out. The easement that you're complaining about supposedly is already built in. I mean, are you guys paying attention to the things that happen on your property? This is very difficult that every time you're objecting, every time this comes up, you know that there's a pending lawsuit that allowed for your partners to go forward with the building, and we have an indemnification and hold harmless from them with this regard. You guys can battle it out in court. Honestly, the commission can decide what they want to do.
If I could address that, that's incorrect. First of all, under the lease, the city has an obligation for notice and consent. I've requested through public information, otherwise, do you have a consent agreement? No, the city does not. The city issued a permit to a contractor to build the parking spots. We objected. They still went ahead and built it, and a lawsuit was filed, unfortunately. We did object. Two, your indemnity that you believe you have, I do not believe covers you if the city is in breach. We won't be suing them. We would be suing the city for breach of contract.
I'm
I'm trying to find solutions, not be adversarial.
We've given you even more time
I appreciate that.
than I said that I would. But what bothers me is that I'm not hearing about this until now. That really bothers me. And as much as the city administration should have informed us, you, if you're representing someone, should have informed us also. So I'm putting some blame there on you also, so that we could have been alerted. Now, this was approved, we would have to bring it back. Commissioner Russell, you're the commissioner of the district. What say you?
Thank you, Chairman. I wish these neighbors could get along. They're going to be neighbors
I'm
for
trying.
a long time. And we, as their landlords, can't be a parent here. We really want to see success for everybody who is our tenant, for the best service to our residents. And I think they both offer amazing amenities to our residents.
Well, they do. That's not a question.
I understand. I agree with you. I do believe that they should. They say they've been negotiating with the city for a couple days. They should have let us know if they needed more time. They were here. They could have been here for public comment. And when the item came up, I signaled to everyone, both sides, would you like to speak? And nobody did. So with that in mind, I'm okay with the item as it went through. I do hear what you're saying, but our city administration that briefed each one of us, and if they said to you what they said to me, they are fully comfortable with this in the way it was noticed, the legalities of it, and that the city is being completely fair to your side. I hear you've made the case that we're not. But
I think if you spoke to Suzanne, you might hear otherwise. We worked really diligently in a very short period of time, just given information this
Let's-
morning to resolve this.
let's-
And that's why I
let's-
wasn't here this morning.
Let's cut through the chases. And could you come up if the city manager or if the assistant manager would allow you to do so? Can you shed some light into this whole thing?
Yes,
This just has hit me by total surprise. I thought everything had been resolved, everybody was getting along together, and
I understand that impression because the last issue, we were able to do a powwow and everyone hashed it out. On November 17th, when I found out about this, I asked our Dream staff to reach out to Otto, who is with the Grove Bay, and I asked for them to get consent from Grove Harbor so that we wouldn't be it was in an email, so that we wouldn't be at this dais now working to try to get consent. I don't know if they reached out to get the consent or not, but that's what happened. I wasn't involved in the briefings this time. I didn't have invitations to them, so that's why you didn't hear anything from me during the briefing.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Do we need legal consent from the tenant on both sides to do this?
No, I just thought that practically, if we had consent or if they were aware, since it's going on a small portion of their property, that it would avoid this. It would avoid what we're doing right now.
They're making the case that we legally must get consent.
Well, I was asking that that they work it out together and that they get consent amongst themselves so that they could move forward. But that is true in the lease. We are supposed to notify them of this.
Right. So if we can, I believe Mr. Bass wants to say something for the record. The way that we understand the notice and consent on this issue, it's basically granted in the lawsuit where the court issued an order that said that they were allowed to continue building. So that is that part. In order to give additional coverage for the city, I asked.
But Madam City Attorney, I'm sorry.
And
One thing
as
is
to
for the
the-
court
oh,
to
sorry.
say that they were allowed to continue building.
I'm
But did
sorry?
one thing is for the court to say that they were allowed to continue building, but did the court say that utilities, what have you, can go through the other property instead of their own to continue building?
Well, that was part of the lawsuit itself, and I'll let Mr. Bass discuss that further, but with,
Yeah, but I'll give Jeffrey a couple of minutes to speak to, but, you're my city attorney.
yes, so that's why I'm saying, our understanding when we were looking at the lawsuit and what the court order said, they were allowed to continue building. Continuing to build means the utilities, the moving of the doing everything.
Yeah, but, you could believe that when a court says that, they're going to be maybe under the impression that all that is going to be going through the land that you lease. That's someone else's land that was leased from the city. So that's my only concern here.
I'll let Mr. Bass discuss that.
Mr. Bass?
If I may,
how much-
I'm going to do my level best to keep the holiday cheer.
I'll
that
give you
we've
3
established.
minutes,
I'll keep it
just like
alive.
I gave the other attorney.
Madam Chair, it's wonderful to see you and see you all, and a happy holiday to you. Let me be very brief. Let me start with the dates because date matters. We gave them notice of this water plan on November 19th, 2019. 2019. We sent them a letter. We sent them the plans in 2019. They didn't do anything. So we had to file a lawsuit. We filed a lawsuit. We attached these plans to the lawsuit. We attached the utility plan, the water plan, the Florida Power and Light plan. We defined those utility that we needed to do on their property as the work, the approved work that we needed to do to build this project. And the court granted our motion for summary judgment, entered a judgment against them, gave us the right explicitly to build the utility work, which we define as the approved work, on their leasehold, end of story. But let me keep going with the dates. We gave them notice on October 4th of this year. We came before you on the Florida Power and Light issue. They asked for a utility plan. We gave them the utility plan. It was a color drawing, and guess what we showed on the utility plan? the water easement, and it's in exactly the same place. So they've known since November of 2019. We reminded them again on October 4th, when we were here before you, working at the Florida Power and Light thing. As Ms. Hollander suggested, they asked me to reach out. I reached out to my good friend Wayne Pathman. I sent him these drawings on November 22nd. We had a conversation on November 22nd. I asked for any feedback. I didn't hear anything back. I sent them again on December 1, sent him the drawings again, asked for his feedback, didn't hear anything back. I was as polite as one could be while also being diligent and not a pest. And the first that we're hearing about these objections are now. So to say we didn't have notice, well, they had enough notice to be here. They've had notice for over 2 years. They had notice in the lawsuit. They had notice in October. We're done on all of that. And to a certainty, the court's order, the final judgment, which, by the way, they sought to stay. Stay was denied. The final judgment says we can build the utility work within their leasehold as shown on the plans that they've had since November 19th, 2019.
And he said within their leasehold.
Within their leasehold since 2019, they've had those plans. That's what the lawsuit was about. We wouldn't have needed them to build them, not on their leasehold, but these were part of the
All right,
plans, the overall plans.
Can you send that to my office so I could read it tomorrow, a copy of that portion?
I'd be most pleased to do so.
Because I'm going to, at least from my point of view, I'm going to go along with that. If I find that that's not what it says, I might want to bring it back for reconsideration.
May I send it to your city attorney to distribute to all of you however you most appropriate? That way, I'll let your city attorney interface with all of you.
Sure.
Thank you for the time. Have a wonderful holiday.
30 seconds?
30 seconds, that's it, and we're closing.
Just want to answer your question about consent. From and after the lease date, this is from the lease, lessor shall take no action, the city, which would impair or otherwise affect title to any portion of the subject property, Grove Harbor, and shall record no documents in the public records which would affect title to the subject property without the prior written consent of lessee. I don't want to dispute what Jeff's saying, but Jeff sent me an email. I sent him an email back saying, I got to get a hold of my client. It was Thanksgiving. When they returned, I immediately jumped on this. I contacted the city. I sent a letter to the city on the 24th. We worked as diligently and as fast as we could. And
Can you send that also to the city
to.
attorney so she could distribute it to us?
Okay. And by the way, I'm here not to be adversarial. Jeff and I, like he said, are good friends. I want to try to resolve globally all the issues out of court. That's my goal. Just like I said I would do with the FP&L. I think I can do the same with this.
With all due respect, I don't think that this controversy that's going on, you can solve all the problems. It's going to be also some, you know what I mean.
I know.
And I love both parties, and I love Chino and all of that. I want to know for sure that something, information that I received, the pipes, Mr. City Manager, everything has been installed, and it was installed during the day, in working hours.
I can't speak to when the installation.
No. I mean, I want to know because it was installed at night.
No.
You see, they might not have seen it, but it was installed during the days, and it took days to install.
Yeah.
What
yeah.
interpretation?
Yeah, I'm sure there are appropriate photos of that as well.
I mean, okay.
Anyway, is there anything else this commission would like to do? Okay, then.
Adjourn.
This meeting is adjourned. Happy holidays to everyone.
Merry Christmas to everybody.
And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to everybody.
Happy holidays, commissioners.